Live. Hello, this is Jonathan Alston. We are on All Politics Are Local. Welcome. It's Friday, and if it's Friday, you know we're on All Politics Are Local. Today is a uh, rather interesting day. We had a full lineup and still have a full lineup for you. But the thing that happened today that was not shocking if you're following what's going on inside of the country and what's going on inside of the city. But the mayor of Newark, Ras Baraka, was just arrested by ICE. You understand that there's been an ongoing issue with the opening of a new private prison in Newark to take in large number of immigrants. That private prison did not have, according to the mayor, did not have the proper certification to open. As in, you have to have like the proper certification, you have to have the proper paperwork. They did not think they needed that from the city. The city disagreed and was trying to literally do inspections. There's a lot that's going on with that. We're finding out even more information, but ICE took the extreme measures of accusing the mayor of trespassing in his own city when trying to enforce the actual law and arrested him. So there are people who are protesting outside right now or waiting to see where the mayor is and demanding that he be freed. There we have a few people who are on the ground there as well, and we're going to be talking about this issue and talking to different people who are on the ground all night. Uh, we are also going to be talking about this in the different segments of our show. In our show, we have a series of segments that are actually very related and related to what's going on right now. We already had pre planned in our segment the people representing the State of the People Power Tour, and they're making a stop in Newark. This is something Tamika Mallory has put together with a series of other people to talk about how to organize and how to go from there when we do not have the support of the federal government in many of the things that we are doing. When the federal government is actively hostile to many within our community, how do we organize? What is the State of the People Power Conference? We have that up in this first segment where we will be talking about the conference as well as what's going on because they're very related. We have Newark Poet Laureate Mia X, Marjorie Johnson, who is here and who will be talking about this as well. We will have Dr. Gabby Cudjoe Wilkes. She's a strategist and faith leader. She will be here as well. We also have with us the executive director of Faith New Jersey, Charlene Walker, who is here as well. We will also have media personality and independent television producer Lisa Durden, who will also be with us shortly in this very first segment. After this segment, we will have the talking about the work that Newark has been doing in violence prevention. We will have Keesha Eure, who is on talking about that very specifically. And then after that, at 7:30, we will have the head of the Black Lives Memphis will be here, Amber Sherman, and she's going to be talking about the May 7th acquittal of three Memphis officers who are charged with the much publicized brutal murder of Tyre Nichols. At 8 o'clock, we are going to have at 8 o'clock, we are going to have the we are going to have the we are going to have someone else who has been very involved with violence prevention uh, in the city, who is on talking again about the different ways in which we will actually be dealing with violence prevention when the funding has been cut. So we have a packed show tonight, and in that packed show we will have a lot of different guests. But most importantly, we will be talking consistently with uh, people talking about the mayor's arrest, what's happening around that issue, and why we all need to be concerned. The guest at 8 o'clock will be Insha Rahman of the Vera Institute, talking about the violence prevention work that they are doing when not receiving federal support. So we have a packed show today, and in that we will be talking about what is going on in Newark, and really this is a national issue that we're talking about, and we'll also be connecting that to the various things that we were planning on talking about tonight. Anyway, so we're going to start off by with Charlene Walker, who's the executive director, who is the executive director of Faith New Jersey. To briefly introduce yourself and where you are and what you are doing there.
Hello, everyone. So I hope that you can hear me. My name is Charlene Walker. I'm the Executive Director of Faith in New Jersey, and we organize faith communities across the entire state in order to build community power with congregations for the things that are important to our people, from to build a beloved community around gun violence, mass incarceration, immigration, and the like. And we were actually present when Mayor Baraka was arrested. And we're
So,
also part of the Live Free USA network.
so you were there at the time that he was arrested. So out there, can you describe to us what was going on at the time?
So I'm going to say as much as I can without putting out too much information because I know that he will have a legal case behind this. What I can say is that every single day for the last week, we have been holding vigil in the morning outside the Delaney Hall. Delaney Hall is a detention center that is now for-profit prison, basically ran by a group called Geo Group. Our group, along with others, actually passed a law to get rid of detention within New Jersey. What many people don't realize is detention, it's profiting off of Black and brown people. The most impacted people by immigration, believe it or not, are Black folks. So we have fought to get rid of detention because what we know is when detention centers exist, they fill the beds, right? They have to fill them up. So what we ended up doing was we were having a vigil earlier in the day, and then we came back later on in in the afternoon um, because the members of Congress, Congresswoman McIver, Congressman Menendez, and Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, all can have access to the detention centers. Members of Congress are the only people that can literally stop up and do a safety inspection, check on conditions. They showed up asking to get in. They made them wait for over an hour. Mayor Baraka was present. He asked if he could go in as well. They accused him of trespassing. He was not. He was on public property. And we slowly watched as ICE did what ICE normally does. They escalate. They escalate. I saw a man with his hand on his gun. They stormed out
So,
of.
so wait,
From,
hold on one second. So you're
Mhm.
saying that you saw a person, an ICE agent, who had his hand on his gun.
Yes.
He's talking to the mayor of the city of Newark, and an ICE agent had his hand on his gun
Yes.
to arrest the mayor. The mayor was not on ICE property. They were on public property. They were literally in the city of Newark at the time.
Yep, the city that he serves. That he serves, he was on public. He was on public grounds, and several ICE agents. I can't even count how many. From HSI to ERO, there are several different entities that enforce immigration. All came out from behind the gate in order to try to grab him. During that time, people tried to intervene. Um, my faith leaders, like a few of us, stood to try and protect them, and then we saw them charging and actually get their hands on our Congress people, Bonnie Watson Coleman,
Hold
and
on, question. So again, just for clarification, right? You're saying that ICE agents literally put their hands on two Congress people,
they,
Congresswoman LaMonica MacGyver and Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman. Two ICE agents literally put their hands on
they
two representatives of Congress.
they surrounded them, and it was chaos for a minute while the press is there. So I know there's probably videos floating around. And then they took Mayor Baraka, put him in handcuffs, and took him illegally. But this is what ICE does. ICE acts illegally. They tell lies to people. They don't follow any particular rules. We as an organization teach people that know your rights. ICE agents are literally knocking on people's doors, claiming to be Jehovah's Witness, to share the gospel with people, to get into their homes and to rip them out. This is not a surprise to any of us that they would do this. But unfortunately, this is what has happened. And this is more of a testament to the authoritarian regime that we're facing right now. And it's really going to be important. This is why the City of the People Power Tour is so important, because it's about organizing. It's about Black folks coming together and building power so things like this don't happen, so that we never have another president that wants to be a dictator and bring fascism to this country, where they can quite literally arrest a sitting mayor and have complete disrespect for our members of Congress.
Thank you for that. Ed Riley, I think I saw Zaid Mohammed. You are also there. Can you jump in and tell me what's going on right now from your perspective? Ed or Zaid? All right, we'll come back. We'll come back to them. I thank you, Charlene, for getting us, for segueing to for the tour, for the power of the people, for the State of the People Power Tour. What is the State of the People Power Tour? And in terms of it coming to Newark, what does that mean? And thank you, Lisa Durden. Welcome, and thank you, Marilyn Davis. Welcome, honored to have you on, and of course, Margie Johnson, Newark Poet Laureate MEX. Thank you. Welcome to All Politics Are Local. What is the State of the People Power Tour? What does that mean in the context of Newark today? And that could go to either of our guests.
Marilyn, you might want to go because you can talk about the beginning and the programs. I'll just jump in when it's time to jump in. But I think Marilyn should take that and then, talk about the programs as well.
Sure. So the State of the People Power Tour is a national movement that is happening across the country. We kicked it off early in April in Atlanta. It is an opportunity for us as Black leaders, as activists, as concerned citizens, to come together as a community, to understand what our needs are and to build power. This is a movement that is happening. It's going to culminate in June, around June 19th or Juneteenth. But it's our effort to bring together the Black community from across the country, but focus on the local community in particular, which is why we're here in Newark. And the significance of Newark is the Newark is a city that is a beacon of what empowerment looks like, in that it is the first city in the Northeast to elect a Black mayor. In so doing, we saw the efforts of Amir Baraka, the mayor's father, in organizing the community here. And so we're coming to Newark, one, because we want to lift up what is happening, all the great things that are happening in Newark. But we also want to take this opportunity to give back to the community. Our goal here is to provide information to folks who also want to hear from people. So the schedule for the day begins with a 9 a.m. plenary. And then we have workshops from 10:15 to 1:15. We're then going to feed the people. And then we're going to have a town hall so that we can hear from the community. What is needed here in Newark by Newarkers? So we want to hear what the community has to say. And then afterwards, we're going to have a rally from 4 to 7. So we have national leaders coming in. We have the president of the NAACP. We have Angela, his name is Derek Johnson, Angela Rye, a CNN commentator, one of the founders of Native Pod. We also have Tamika Ballery. She's coming in. She's the founder of Until Freedom. But we know Tamika as an activist. She also recently wrote a book, a biography. We have many leaders coming from across the country, as well as local leaders. Like Mia X is going to be on our program. Thank you so much, Mia X. Good to meet you. We also have local leaders, like, of course, the mayor. Hopefully he'll be there on Tuesday. But we have tons of folks who are going to represent all of the constituency groups in Newark. For instance, we're going to have workshops that are going to speak to Medicare and Social Security so that our seniors are fed and understand what's at stake. We also have panels on education, and with the dismantling of the U.S. Department of Education, what does that mean for Newarkers, and what does that mean for our kids, and how do we empower the parents to understand what is at stake and what tools are available to us to ensure that our kids receive a quality education. In addition to that, we have Lisa's leading an effort on art is activism, or art is action. It's an opportunity to lift up the significant art community in Newark, but also how do we get artists active and involved in what's happening in the community. We know that many are. We have the Councilman Dupre Kelly, who is an artist, but he's also involved in community building. We want to look at other opportunities to talk to the community around things like AI, artificial intelligence. How's that going to impact workers? What tools are available for small businesses and workers in order to empower themselves and to be engaged in this new economy? We have so many workshops. We have about 16 workshops on leadership, on Black men, so that individuals, there's something for everybody on this.
Like in what you're saying, like first, I just wanted to say it's an honor to have you here. Your biography is extensive. You've organized in terms of labor. You've organized multiple presidential campaigns. You are a major force in the Democratic Party in terms of political organizing. You did independent labor organizing. You are a national figure in your own right in terms of that organizing.
Thank you.
In terms of what's going on, like,
I wanted to jump in
now.
real quick to tag. I wanted to jump in real quick to tag that on real quick, because we might forget. I wanted to do it while we're fresh in the earlier part of the show, just so folks know, what's happening right now with Raz Baraka being arrested by ICE at that, at the ICE rally, being arrested. This is exactly why we need to fight for our liberation and our freedom. This is exactly why the State of the Power People tour is important, and what's more important is that it's coming to Newark. Some people were little haters. Why Newark? Why not New York? Why not Philadelphia? Well, we only have 10 cities, so we might be able to get around eventually to all the cities, because it's not a one-time thing, it's a movement. But I'm going to answer why Newark. My first answer is, why not Newark? Newark is a critical stop. As we see, we're on the radar. We're the Renaissance city. We're the place to be, where the State of the People Power Tour needed to be at, in recognition of Newark's legacy, and to call on us to amplify what we've been doing in Newark forever around movements. We've been doing movements for years. So Newark is the stop that people need to be at on Tuesday, May 13th. We open up the whole entire event at 9:00, and there's going to be all this happening at the iconic Newark Symphony Hall at 1020 Broad Street in Newark, New Jersey. Symphony Hall within itself is an historic institution. It's been there for over 100 years. It is the cultural beacon of civic engagement for years. So Newark's Renaissance City is going to be here. Y'all are putting respect on our name, and it's about that time. And this is exactly why this event is happening and why this movement is taking place. So we all want you guys to come for free. That's a good price. So we'll leave the link in the chat for people to just register for free and just come down, because this event is not just a one-off. It's about our voices being heard. As we see today, it's something that it just so happens to be apropos because of what's going on in our climate and before and beyond.
And Lisa, I don't want to forget, Charlene is on this call as well. Charlene is leading two very important workshops. One is on faith-based organizing. The faith community has been the center of organizing the Black community forever, and we want to make sure that the faith community has the tools they need to continue that work. We're also going to have a workshop that, again, Charlene is leading on I'd say expungement. That's how I use expungement as a short word. It's not just expungement, it's on gun violence and on expungement, but we want to talk to the justice impacted community and give them the tools they need in order to be part of this process as well.
All right. Well, thank you. I just want to segue back to what's going on at the around that ICE detention center, and just bring Ed Riley in to talk about briefly what he's seeing, what's going on down there, and then we'll jump back into the Power of the People tour. Ed, what's going on? What are you seeing, and what are you hearing? Ed, you're on mute. Ed, take yourself off mute.
Yeah, can you hear me, Jonathan?
We can hear you.
So we're outside the gate, right here at Delaney Hall. The mayor's mother just showed up, Amina Baraka, and there are hundreds of people who are here, press from everywhere, elected officials, reverends, everyone is here. The congresswoman just showed up.
I heard Larry Ham out there as well. And Charlene, are you like right there right now, or are you further away? Hello?
I think Marilyn, you're muted. I think Marilyn's muted. Marilyn,
Okay.
you're muted.
All right, so Ed, hold on one second. Ed, you're back?
Yeah.
Ed, are you back?
I'm back. It's a little chaotic. Can you hear me?
All right, what's going on right now?
Everybody is at the gate. All of the elected officials are here.
That's Larry Ham, right? That's Larry Ham speaking right now, the chairman of the People's Organization of Progress.
It is. Larry Ham is speaking. Let me see if I can turn it around.
And let the Congress people come up.
Yes.
The elected officials.
So they're trying to get all of the elected officials up so that they can speak along with you.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Ed. So that's. I know that you're recording out there. Let me know when more stuff is going on. We're going to come back to you in about 15 minutes.
Okay. Sounds good.
And Charlene, what are you seeing there as well?
So I'm here, and I think it's really important to note that every social justice organization that could get here is here. We are encouraging everybody from across the state to call their electeds and make sure that they show up for Roz and they show up for the things that he was actually fighting for. He was fighting against the detention center, so it's a both and. So we need everybody to show up and be able to place some demands for him to be released. We do know that Governor Murphy's team is trying to get him out, but there doesn't seem to be much movement as of yet.
So they're literally holding him hostage right now, because even when you're arrested in a protest, you're arrested, you're booked, you're released. They're just not releasing him.
So the immigration system is different, right? So he'll get held, and they actually have to come up with a bond, even though New Jersey got rid of being able to bail people out. We did bail reform, but that does not apply to immigration. So
so what you're telling me is that immigration has a different, almost like a legal system?
Exactly. It's a completely different system. It's got completely different standards. A lot of times when people are incarcerated due to immigration, they have done nothing wrong. They just literally came legally and said, hey, I want to come here because something is happening in my home country and I want asylum, and they've been locking people up. So it's a completely different system. It's actually a system that very much mirrors some of the oppressive systems that we've seen across the globe. So
what we're learning here, so it's interesting. So I'm just cutting up just a little bit just to get a little more clarification. What I'm learning here is that when the mayor was arrested, he wasn't arrested under any normal, because it couldn't have been arrested under city law. It clearly wasn't under state law. And the type of federal law that it seems like he was arrested under doesn't have any of those same safeguards.
No, it doesn't have the same safeguards. It's a longer system to work through. They did state that it was trespassing. There's no clear, nobody knows exactly what it was that he's officially charged with as of yet. But being in HSI, which is this is the Homeland Security building. It's not even, it's not a detention center that's holding him right now. It's kind of up to the whim of ICE to decide what they want to do, even if they want to hear his case right now. So I know legal minds that are beautiful in New Jersey are fighting to try and figure out how we can get Mayor Baraka out for actually, he was doing his job, checking on the people that are being housed in his city.
And which makes a lot of sense, especially when you're dealing with ICE and immigration. And maybe as you know, I'm a debate coach. One of the things that we've been researching was immigration and the different human rights abuses that took place from 2016 to 2020, before and after too, as well, right? Like it doesn't really matter in terms of the administration. It's just that some administrations are more aggressive than others. But ICE tends to have higher rates of sexual abuse. On private prisons have higher rates of violence. It seems like people are less protected. So it seems like inspections and inspections on demand from elected officials would be incredibly important. I know that you talked about some faith-based organizations and human rights organizations, and I know that and I know that that has been a concern of theirs when dealing with both the way ICE functions and the way private prisons function. So is that a concern here as well, as a concern of the mayors and a concern of the faith-based organizations, as as they're pushing for inspections of these facilities?
Exactly. And one of the things about the detention center is that the Trump administration told us that they were actually thinking about housing people as families. So we don't even know if there's children inside. And as we just saw before, that they have been arresting people who are U.S. citizens, mainly organizers, right? And the proximity to Newark Airport really makes this particular illegal center like a perfect storm for shipping off those that have dissent against this administration. So people really need to pay attention, and we really need it closed. It's not actually legal in any way, shape, or form. They don't even their certificate of occupancy is from 2007, and since then and it's been shut down for several years, and since then there's been no inspection.
Wait, so you're saying that there has been zero local inspections since 2007, and it is a private company that owns it and is leased out. And so it appears that they're at least in violation of local laws and ordinances. So it is very reasonable to want inspections. It's very reasonable for Congress to demand oversight of a private prison facility, ones that have a actual history of actual human rights complaints to want inspection.
Yeah, the CO is from 2007. The last inspection, I'm not quite sure, but the Delaney Hall has been closed since 2001, I believe. That's when we passed the law to end it. So since then, no one has gone in to inspect it at all. So this is part of a bigger issue, obviously, but we really need to close the detention center, also get Roz out, and we can't have people having this authoritarian rule. And that's even more reason we've got to build power, y'all. Like, we really have to organize. Because once they come for one of us, they're coming for all. We have to build
As we can
that
see,
level of
right?
power.
Because we didn't even know some of the rules and that went toward people who were undocumented, and if they use those they seem to be using those same rules on American citizens and elected officials. And if they can do that to the mayor of the city, what are they going to do to activists, protesters, or anybody else who they just happen to knock on the wrong door and they don't like the way that they are spoken to? Mia, I want to bring you into this conversation as well. Talk to us about the Power of the People tour and what that means. I know that there's a segment of art and empowerment. What does that mean?
I want to start with a poem. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Oh, and can I just say one last thing? Every time that you're on, it's always personal for me because you are one of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life.
Wow.
You are one of the most brilliant people I've ever met in my entire life. I like bragging on you. I met you when you were 15 years old, and you were in my English class.
Best
It
English
was
class ever.
Oh my goodness, and you were one of the best English students ever. You were a class leader. We read Zora Neale Hurston's "Their Eyes Are Watching God." The first time I read it, it was with Bell Hooks, and Rebecca Walker was in the class. And when I read it with you, I learned so much more. And I had a great class. That was an amazing class with Bell Hooks and Rebecca Walker as a student. Amazing, life-changing. I had more fun and learned more when you were breaking things down that made me go back and be like, wow, I need to be a better teacher.
Wow.
So That's my introduction. So
Wow.
thank you. Always honored to have you on. And yes, I will have that embarrassing story every time that you're on and I am on, because I think that's a story that
It's
needs to be
hilarious.
told more often. And teachers need to recognize all the time who is in their classroom and who is in front of them. So talk to me.
And I just want to say thank you too, Mr. Austin, for creating such a safe space for us to ask questions and to really learn. Your classroom was a laboratory with literature, and we all came alive. So I'm always thankful to you, and I just appreciate you so much for just speaking life into me, encouraging me, listening to me. You know, I talk a lot. I've always talked a lot. You know, in a classroom, it's going to happen. But, you know, your class helped me in so many ways, and I just appreciate you forever. So here we go. This is what's on my heart tonight, you guys, real quick. Out of the huts of history shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I am a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave, and so I rise. I rise, I rise. A little bit of Dr. Maya Angelou on tonight with Still I Rise. And I just feel like it's important because that's the energy that I'm sending to our mayor. You know, we go through things, we rise, we continue to rise. Being on the panel, Art is Activism, is going to be amazing, you know, because we're going to get to talk about the things like what's happening tonight and how we can come together, how we can share our voices, how we can share our power, how we can create. You know, art is something that lasts throughout all the times. Like at the end of whatever it is, there's some art that's standing. And I just feel like it's really important for us to come together and feel what we are all feeling collectively and just being in unity, because power is in the people. You know, I'm going to be on the panel. I'm representing myself as the Poet Laureate. Thank you, Lord, for the Poet Laureate of the City of Newark, the inaugural Poet Laureate. But I'm also the manager of arts and creative placemaking at Clinton Hill Community Action. And Clinton Hill Community Action is all about that action. You know, like we say it all the time that we work with the residents. We don't work for them, we work with them. So this is going to be the time where all of our values are going to be right on the front and center stage for us to listen to each other, find out what's wrong, get involved, you know, and you can participate in your own deliverance. We don't all have the answers. I know I don't have the answers, but I know when I'm in community, I'm a lot more powerful than I am when I'm by myself. You know, I don't have all the answers, but I have questions. And like when there is a space created for us together where we can ask those questions in community, you know, and lean on each other that we are not alone, then we can get a little bit farther or closer to where we want to be. You know, I'm going to have a good time just being there, listening to people, talking, sharing what it is that I know, because I love my community. I didn't get involved with it because somebody told me to. I needed to because it was something that I felt like I needed to do. And so I'm just going to share my story, you know, hopefully empower some people and inspire some people to make some changes in their community, you know, and I'm interested in having the conversation because I think we need it. We need to be unified. We need to share our love, share our power, and listen to each other and really create some plans because, you know, it's time.
Jonathan, I wanted to add to that. I thank you, Mia. I love everything she does, just to let people know who's watching, because I want to make sure we have this push to get folks out. I curated an esteemed panel of individuals from the arts world across the spectrum for this Arts as Activism panel that's going to happen at the State of the People Power Tour on Tuesday, the 13th. The panel jumps off at 11:30 a.m. Please come down. The price is just right. It's free. But what I want people to understand about the Arts as Activism panel is it's a powerful panel that brings together artists, activists, and cultural disruptors, a lot like what's happening today, who are using their craft to challenge injustice, clearly not just today's injustice, but injustices across the board, amplify the truth, build a collective. And we have people that are muralists and poets, and I'm a filmmaker. We have musical artists and people from the media world that's going to get together to try to have an activation and heal. And I just want to throw out some of those names so that we know that they're also involved, because they all couldn't be on this interview. We have my son, you know, he's worked with, he's a rapper and an activist. He's worked a lot with Tamika Mallory. We have obviously Mia X, aka Mia X, Margie Johnson. Fiyemi Shakur is lovely. She worked for the City of Newark as the director of the City of Newark's Arts and Cultural Affairs. She's the person who makes sure artists get funds for their artistry. I was one of the recipients. I didn't even know her at the time. And I got a little money for my film, Blind Divas. I applied like everyone else and I got selected. Desiree Hadley. I love Desiree Hadley. She's representing the City of Newark's film and TV division. And she's also an artist. She's a freelance writer for Essence.com. And she has her organization called Urban Girl Mag. So she's going to be there. And oh my God, you all who are watching know Suleiman Anque. He's the premier artist and visual artist in the city of Newark. So most likely every mural you've seen in Newark, he might have had his hands in literally. He's what is called an Olympic artist. And he's the co-founder of what he's calling Three the Art Way, because him, his mom, and his brother are all artists, Three the Art Way. So these are going to be some strong individuals on this panel. We're going to be at Symphony Hall on Tuesday, 11 o'clock. It's free. Please register. We'll throw the link out there. I think the link out there on the Facebook page and in YouTube. So please come, because Mia X is going to be powerful. But I think all of the individuals across the spectrum are powerful. And I think art is the universal language. So you don't have to be smart to understand the message. Look what Kendrick Lamar did at the Super Bowl. Everything he said has those hidden messages through his art, and we all understood it. So I think this is what the vibe is going to be for Tuesday's panel as well. Just wanted to throw it out there while we were talking about, the panel.
Oh, great! And because I also put a link in the Facebook and YouTube page, but if there's a different link and one that I believe that there's a link that has the specific registration for Newark, if you could just drop that in the comments, so that everyone has that in the comments as well. I think that it becomes more important than ever that people actually are looking at what is the power of the people. Like when we're actually talking about the arrest of a mayor, that is not just a disrespect of the mayor of the city of Newark. That is a disrespect of the entire city, because he represents the people of the city of Newark. So you have a buildup of the federal government making an overt act to kidnap, because I don't even want to say arrest, because arrest has the veer of legality. I think that the reason for the outrage that exists right now is that although they are claiming legality, we all know that this is more like retribution, more like a political attack. So when you're looking at what this actually is, it is a kidnapping. I think that we can't look at it in any other way other than that, unless you're trying to say that what they did, although it might have the veneer of legality, that it doesn't have the stink of retribution associated with it, and actually attacking not just the mayor, but the people he represents. He is an elected official who is an elected official who was taken by force, by ICE, handcuffed, and brought into a place where we can't access him. Mm-hmm. That seems to be like a different level of political intimidation of the federal level to the people locally. So when we're talking about organizing and how do you organize, I think that this becomes really important. Ms. Davis, I have a question very specifically for you. You really have organized over a long period of time, and you were involved with the Democratic Party very, very intensely with presidential elections, local elections. You've been in labor movements in terms of strengthening those. We have people right now, and you're there and helping organize this Power of the People conference or conferences all over the country. There are many people who look at the Democratic Party and they're very disillusioned. You have they are very unpopular. They look at what is going on right now at a federal level, and for many people, it actually does. We imagine what it was like in the 1930s, what it is like pre-civil rights, because many of the things and gains that were made during civil rights are openly being or hostilely being not just talked about, but trying to be undone from the actual civil rights legislation that seems to be being undermined, to things as petty as wanting to remove things from the Smithsonian or wanting to not teach things that are like basic American history as it regards to the history of slavery, as it regards to the history of Jim Crow, and things that might make white people feel uncomfortable. In light of all of this, we look at the way the Democratic Party has been responding, And there's levels of they don't really understand where we are. They're looking at 2026 when if you're arresting a mayor, we don't know if there are going to be illegal elections in 2026. We don't know if you're going to arrest an elected official at this level, then how is the Democratic like how would you talk people like me down in terms of that involvement with the Democratic Party when it seems like they are tone deaf and completely out of touch with what's going on, to the extent that they don't know that we are literally being targeted. Congress people are being ignored, and the response seems to be wait till 2026.
Right.
So, Jonathan, what is not in my bio is that after the presidential election last fall, when our vice president was not elected, I decided to run for secretary of the Democratic National.
I love it. Yes, girl.
I was unsuccessful.
Ugh.
However, because the election was in February, I was unsuccessful.
True, you were actually on our show before.
Yes.
You were on our show when you were running.
When I was running. So I will say to you that because of that election, and I'm going to be very frank with how pissed off I was, I decided to run for secretary. I will say that experience showed me that there is a permanency that exists within the Democratic Party that is really out of touch with the average person. But that said, I'm a Democrat. I'm always going to be a Democrat, but I'm going to work within the party to change the party. And that is what is needed. We cannot look to Washington to have all the solutions, because it's not in Washington. The solutions are here in the state. The solutions are right here in the cities across the country. And we must take our power. And that is why the State of the Power Tour is so, State of the People Tour is so important, because it gives people the opportunity to take matters into your own hand. Our self-determination is on us. We are the self in that determination. And so I employ people tonight, like, we cannot look to others to save us. We have to look to ourselves to save us. But we also should be able to communicate with our elected officials. And having LaMonica McIver as an ally, having Barney Watson Coleman as an ally, someone who understands, who have been there and done that, having access to people like them who can then try to communicate to the people in Washington, D.C. what is happening, why they must abort the plans that they may have in place, and listen to the people. If we don't listen to the people, we're not going to win in 2026, and we're not going to win in 2028. But so it's important for us to stay connected, to stay united as a community, and to continue to say stand on business, stand on what we think is important for our community, and communicate that to those who are allies to us and who can take back to the DNC and to others in Washington what's important. Because they continue to listen to themselves, they're going to continue to get the outcome they've always been getting. And we've been losing. And the people are losing.
So when I'm looking at what you're talking about, what you're saying, and it seems like it, and just from the outside, it seems like the Power of the People conference is based on pushing local politics. Control your communities, control the politics of your communities. If you control your city, you control your state. Enough people do that, you're controlling the country. Is this really a leadership training tour so that people will grow and try to take greater control of the power they have within their own communities?
Jonathan, I'm sure you have heard before the saying by Tip O'Neill, all politics is local.
Yep.
That is that's where we're standing on this. That's what this movement is about. It's about what's happening locally, and locally pushes up. Because if you can't get reelected, you don't have to support the people. And with Newark being the largest city in the state of New Jersey, if you can't win Newark, you're not going to win an election. So you have to listen to the people, and that is what the tour is about. All politics is local. And when
you hear the name, the State of the People Power Tour. The State of the People Power Tour, it's the people. And, people have been asking since November, what are we going to do? And, we don't have who's our leader? Some of us who know better, we're our leader. You can't rely on individuals. Nobody's omnipotent. We are not all looking up to somebody in the sky. Who are you looking for? Who are you looking at? I don't mean in terms of God and those other things. I'm saying when you look for human beings, we can't look for the usual suspects. You're the usual suspect. So it's so interesting that before this jumped off today with Raz being arrested at the ICE rally, this state of the people power tour was already at play because we already knew if it wasn't today's incident, it would be something else. We knew we had to galvanize individuals across the country. Yes, we're coming to Newark on May 13th, but we've been going to 10 cities around the country and we're saying, let's get together and galvanize. There's more power in a fist than in one hand. We've got to get together, and you can't worry about who's not elected and, the Democrats are not. You have bodies. There was a time before the civil rights movement, when we had to do the same thing, crossing those bridges, going out there, hoses around us. We didn't have any rights then. We only had our bodies and our voices. We have our bodies and our voices now. Not that you only have to come to the State of the People Power Tour. It could be something as simple as something to your next door neighbor. It's not only the big movements like this, it's period. So instead of continuing to say, well, what can we do? That's what you can do. So we took a little break, no more rest, no more doing the, let us land, no more, our boots on the ground, no more boots on the ground. It's time to, boots on the ground in this way. Let's get to work. The work is our bodies. We are leading ourselves. No Target wasn't led by, these two people. We decided we're not going to buy for Target. All of the people who didn't buy at Target is why Target got crushed. So just like we crushed Target, not two leaders, we're going to crush people with these bodies coming to the State of the People Power Tour on the 13th and beyond. Any other movements, something in your local community, something in your local school. It's not just official movements, but yes, it's right. So stop asking who. The who is you.
Right.
And Mia X, you had something to say? Yeah, I saw your hand up.
No, I was just signifying and saying that that's resonating with me. But it's like, if not now, when? If not us, who?
Yes.
It's our time. It's our time.
Yeah.
I think Charlene has something to say.
Yeah, I was gonna give an amen to Lisa. Should I be calling you Reverend or something now? But like right? You can see the back of my shirt. It says, "We are the ones we've been waiting for." Right?
That's it.
It is us. It has always been us. The truth of the matter is that white supremacy in this world teaches us that we don't have power, and the truth is we always have had power. It's our job to choose to walk in it and to build collective power together, and that is where State of the People Power Tour is a kicking off point, right? Because here it is. Everybody doesn't have to do the same thing for us to get liberated, but everybody's got to be in the movement in some way, shape, or form. That even if you're the one making the fried chicken for the meeting,
that's right,
or watching the kids, there's a role for everyone if we're going to get free, and that starts with listening to each other and casting a vision for the world that yet can be.
Because I make a joke about myself all the time when people say, what are you going to do? So I'm from Newark, New Jersey, born and raised, still live in Newark, New Jersey. And I always make a joke, but it's not really a joke. I'm like, I can't fight. I can't beat nobody. I will fight you, but I'm going to probably lose. So I try to hit you and run. And I've gotten beat up several times, not bullied, but, got beat the hell up, in the streets before, just, at school at 3:00. So I'm not one to put my hands on you. I'm not one to march with my fists in the air. I'm not one to pump a sign. I'm not doing that. But like Charlene said, you can do something. So for me, my art is my activism. I use my voice as my activism. For Mia X, that's what she does with her poetry, and many people on that art is activism panel. But there's other things you can do. Like you said, if you want to make the food for folks and let them go out there and pump the flag, great. There's many things you can do. So you don't have to be the official, what we perceive as that's activism. Activism is broad. It's not just painting Black Lives Matter on the ground or, marching. So think about the micro and macro things you can do to now help out and try to move that needle wherever you think needs that needle to be moved.
Nice. Just in a second, we see Ed is there. Ed, is there any updates from where you are?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we can.
Yeah. So the family is right behind me, as you all can see. Let me see if I can share that.
Oh, Raz. Okay, I see him. Yeah, Raz is him.
That's the family. Right, his wife, his mother, his brother. Right. Everybody's standing behind me. We're right outside the gate. Everybody is organizing, saying free Ras Baraka. So, you know, the community is here, all of the elected officials are here. Everybody is saying they woke up a giant. And I think they're in the wrong fight. You know, this man is a born activist. He comes from a family that is an activist. That is his pedigree. You know, he's on the right side of history right now. And so I think all of these people that are out here were actually waiting for an opportunity to be able to step forward. I got Bashir that's with me. You want to share with the family what's going on out here?
Yeah, we're standing in, first of all, Assalamu alaikum, Hotep, peace, black power, all power to the people. We're standing out here in solidarity, all together, to support Mayor Baraka. He's been arrested. For reasons we don't know, other than the fact that what we know.
And speak up a little louder.
Talk a little louder.
Mayor Baraka was trying to make sure that
we can't hear you.
And
tell him to take his headphones off the phone and let him talk to the phone. You take the headphones out, Edward. Take the headphones out of your phone.
Yeah, Ed, take the headphones out so we can talk directly into
get
it.
our mayor released. All right, our mayor's been sitting on this issue for a long time. It's nothing new. All right, so free Mayor Baraka. If you free, if you in the Newark area, come down here, 620 Freeland Heights and Avenue. That's where we at right now.
You said 623 Freeland Heights and Avenue, right?
One of the, I believe it's one of the ICE buildings. Yeah. The detention center, the ICE detention center. We standing out here, 620 Freeland Heights and Avenue. Come out, come stand in solidarity to get our mayor, the people's mayor. The people's mayor out. To get the people's mayor out. From the detention center, all right? So free Mayor Baraka, free Mayor Baraka. All right, take it back
all
to
right,
you.
thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, did y'all get that, Jonathan?
Yes, we did. Thank you, Ed.
Get that?
We're gonna come back to you. Just stand there and stick on by and let us know more about what's going on or some of the people that you run into.
Well, everybody's going to the front with the mother, the First Lady. Every single elected official in the state of New Jersey is now out here. I mean, I see everybody. Mayors are coming from all over the state that are out here. I see people from the Assembly. I see people from the Senate. So, I mean, as the night wears on, more and more folks are coming out. And everybody's sort of saying that there's a giant that's been awakened.
All right, and Ed, what I want you to do later, like as you're walking around, get some of them to talk. Like walk up to some of the elected officials, some of the people who are there, and put them on, and we'll have them on, and we'll have them talking.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you need me to pull my headphones out? Is that better?
Yeah, that's what I said. He's got to take his headphones out of the phone and let them talk on the phone because his headphones are going directly in the phone. We won't hear him.
So when I pulled them up, just pull the headphones out and let them talk.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. And thank you, Lisa.
I'm a producer. You know what I do.
I know. You are an award-winning. You are an award-winning, and people don't know this, and people often don't give you your props. You are an award-winning movie and television producer. You are not just a talk show personality. You produce segments for ABC. You produce your own independent films. You are literally an award-winning producer and a treasure of the city of Newark. So we appreciate you here. Always honored to have you on or working any of the segments that we have. You are a true bona fide talent, and it's always an honor.
Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate that.
So much. No, I appreciate you all.
Jonathan, while you have Ed, I'm curious if there are any gubernatorial candidates on site.
I have not seen any other gubernatorial candidates, but I've seen all of the senators are here. I've seen mayors that are coming from throughout the state, so I have not seen them as of yet. But I will keep you all informed. If I see it, I'll take some pictures.
Thank
How
you.
about Cory Booker and Kim? Are they down there?
I have not seen Cory Booker, but I see Timberlake. I see,
So you see the state senators, but not the federal senators.
I don't see them. No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so cool. That was a great, Ms. Davis. That was a great question to ask, right? Because this would be a great time for all of the Democratic candidates who are running for governor to all be there and demanding his release. Every single one of them should be down there and demanding it, because the stuff that he's fighting for is actually the same stuff that they claim to be fighting for at the same time. So yeah, like, why aren't they down there? Because if there's any time that there needs to be some sense of unity, it's when you literally get the federal government kidnapping a member of your party in a way that is, by all appearances, absolutely inappropriate.
A mess.
And 2 candidates running for governor are sitting members of Congress.
Oh,
right.
Yep. And I want to say this. I want to say this about Maryland, because I don't get a chance to say it because it's getting closer now. But you know, at first when Desiree Peterkin Bell, the amazing Desiree Peterkin Bell, told me to get involved, I'm like, okay, fine. But I'm kind of new to Maryland. But I'm talking about Maryland. Listen, girl, if I was in your position, I'd have been fired in the first 15 days. I'm a cog in the wheel kind of girl. I'm a big picture person, but you know, in a sense where I'm like, oh, I see the big picture, but I'm not one to think of the big picture. I can see yours, like I see it. I'm talking big picture. She drilled down on programming that she felt would be of value. And now that we see what's happening today, like she said, no, let's kick this out and do more of that. So the programming has to make it make sense, as they say. So please take your hat up to Maryland for the programming that she put together for Tuesday's event, because it's time to galvanize. And those workshops and panels is about galvanization and getting the people to say, okay, and we're not just talking on panels and workshops, we're going to leave with action items and points. So like that's Maryland is the spearheading all of that, the lead, and blah, blah, blah. So, you know.
Well, thank you. I just want to make sure that Newarkers get what they need. Way too often, politicians and people want to talk down and tell you what's important to you. No, this is for us. It's for us to hear from the community about what's important to the community. If a job is important, which a job is important for everybody, we want to make sure you know how to access jobs. And if you are working, what tools do you need in order to defend your job as unions are under attack? We know that, again, with the dismantling of the Department of Education, parents need to be empowered because our kids need to have a quality education. On top of that, we know that AI is a top, that particular industry is a growing industry. We're seeing Microsoft and Apple and Amazon lay off workers and focus their resources on AI. So we want to make sure that people understand what this tool can and cannot do for us. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we speak to all segments of our community with expungement and gun violence, but also how do we talk to people around what's happening the first 100 days of this administration and what that looks like to us. But we want to give people real information. This is not no tiptoe to the tulips. We're not here playing games. We want to make sure the community comes out, gets fed, takes back what they hear to the community, and so that we're empowered. But also we'll make sure that folks from the tri-state region, when they come to the tour stop, that though the focus is on New Yorkers, they can take this information back to New York or back to Philadelphia or Pennsylvania. So our goal here is to give people some real shit. We're not here for games. We're not here for games.
And let me just jump in and say this. You know, not a lot, but for those people who are like crying, how come, not New York and I go to New York all the time for stuff because we don't have things in Newark because people think Newark isn't worthy. Well, the power of the people too thought Newark is worthy. So just like I go to New York for things all the time, for panels, I go for conferences, and they're New York based, but I can pull jewels and gems from that to bring back to my community. Well, the same happens here. Come to Newark, New Jersey, Tuesday, May 13th, every single panel, every single conversation, all the topics in the rallies, all the speakers apply to anywhere USA where Black and brown folks are. The problems are not different from Chicago to Philadelphia to Atlanta to New York to the boogie down Bronx. Come on, people. So now this time you're going to learn from Newark. We're the gold standard for this. So stop crying and get on down here on Tuesday, May 13th. And it's free. That's a good price. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yes.
All right, great.
And clap for that.
All right, and thank you. I know that we are. I want to respect everybody's time.
Yes.
If for those of you who want to stay on through the different coverage that we have, you're more than welcome to do that. We are also going to go to the our next segment as well. We have Zaid. You are on as well.
Zaid.
Hey,
And we had Donna on. All right, we had Donna on, but thank you. Before Marilyn jumped off, I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, Mia X. And thank all to our other guests. Lisa, thank you for setting this up. You are an amazing producer. The way that you put this together so quickly, I appreciate it. Anytime I get a call from you, I'm always like, yes, because you are, in addition to being an award-winning producer yourself and an award-winning filmmaker and award-winning journalist, in addition to all a person who puts her own self on the line to speak the truth, and we're not even going to go into that entire section of the things that you have done to tell the truth despite the consequences. We appreciate you a lot, but on that level, thank you, because every time you call me, you're always trying to hook other people up, right? So in addition to all the other stuff you do, you are always trying to say, hey, I've got these people over here. I want you to get in touch with them. You do this a lot, so I just want to very publicly say again, thank you.
I love being a connector. That's my thing. I don't really brag about it, but I just it gets my energy flowing. So I'm like, oh, I made a connection. So that's great. Bye-bye, Zaid. Hey. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Thanks a lot. Jonathan, you all lies. I love the lies. You make me feel good. Lies.
No, it's all true. It's all true. And you know it. All right.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. So we have, Ed, Zaid was in and just jumped out. Can you give us an update? Also, Ensha Raman, we're about to have your segment up if you are being up right now. I saw you in the background.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hello. Ed, what's going on there right now?
So we have Fox News is out here causing a ruckus. Of course, they out here supporting everything that's going on. So they kind of shut her down. So she had to be pushed off. I don't know who.
They're trying to shut who down?
I think it was the Attorney General for the state of New Jersey. I think she was just out here on Fox News.
Oh, so the Attorney General came on Fox News talking about why she's holding the mayor hostage.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because at this point, we can say it's a kidnapping.
Yeah. She was trying to speak, but they shut her down. So, it's a little hectic out here.
So you're saying that on Fox News tried to have like an interview with her in front of the crowd, but the crowd just yelled over it.
Sorry.
They used their power of freedom of speech.
Shut her down quick.
Yeah, so Fox News was here, and they had the Attorney General who was trying to justify why they're holding Mayor Baraka inside for violating the law. What's interesting is, of course, the mayor is the law in the city of Newark. So,
and I would say the mayor follows the law in the city of Newark. And this is the same Attorney General that said that the people who invaded the Capitol on January 6th should be let free.
That's right. That's right.
But yet, a mayor who's literally doing his job to try to protect human rights and to make sure that people's rights are protected, because as he said, that even if you are undocumented, you are accorded rights. What we are seeing right now is that the same lack of consideration for rights protection that they're giving undocumented people, they're applying to American citizens. His lawyer has not been allowed to see. It does not seem like there has been any communication along those lines. Do you have any information on that?
I'm sorry, say that again, Jonathan. It's a little
Do you
noisy.
know if he's his lawyer and anyone spokesperson, people who have been in contact with him, who are talking about what's going on? Has there
No,
been any updates from his legal team or from the
not
city
as
or from any of that?
not as of yet, but I'm gonna be looking for them, and when I do, I'll try to pull them on the air live.
Okay, and if you see Midi, who's there, Midi Baraka, the chief of staff, see if you can get him on as well.
Okay.
Anyone who can give us more information about what's going on.
Yep, I definitely will. Yep.
All right, so Inshiraman, are you there?
I'm here. It's great to be here. What an evening. Good,
Absolutely.
important things are happening in Newark in terms of people standing up. So I am pleased to be here calling in from Brooklyn.
Okay, and Zaid is also here, and I know that Zaid is always the person to give the excellent introduction. Zaid, are you around? Are you there?
Can you hear me? How's my
We can hear
sound?
you. We can hear you.
Just
Your sound is better than usual. Your sound is better than usual.
I'm in the back seat of the car trying to get to my place so I can get stationary. But Incha, you walked in on some drama that we have in Newark. You know,
Yeah.
our mayor was arrested at a vigil
Yep.
today. The vigil had been going on all week, every morning this week, that had been led by the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice and some other
Mhm.
immigrant justice organizations.
Yep.
I reached out to all of them at the beginning of the week. I said, "Are y'all going to do civil disobedience this week? Are y'all ready for that?" And they said, "No, not yet. We're trying to be careful." And here we are. So y'all got to get ready because this is the time that we're in, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so pardon, and I'm sure the way that you'll appreciate the people's ruckus that we are necessarily creating. But I want to give you the few moments that you have, and I appreciate the time that you have. Jonathan, Keesha is on the scene also. She will not likely be on with us tonight for the same reason. I
Hello?
of stakeholders. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yep.
All
I
right.
can hear you.
But in the interest of trying to get on and to respect our guests, I had to leave so I could get on, get Incha on. We got Amber Sherman coming on from Memphis around that crazy case in Memphis with those racist police, with those dangerous police. So we got to get that work in. Incha, thank you for your time. Incha,
Baba
just very
Zaid, thank you for
quickly,
having me here. I'm really glad to
very,
be here.
Now, you
very
work for
quickly,
the
Incha.
Vera Institute. What is the Vera Institute? What is the work that you do?
Yeah, so the Vera Institute of Justice is a national organization. We work to end mass incarceration and fight for immigrants' rights and help build safe, thriving communities. So we've been following very closely, this administration reopening the detention center that New Jersey closed, rightfully so, and bringing it online because of Trump's mass deportation agenda. And the work that we do is fighting that, because if we're really about safety and justice in our communities, and we mean safety and justice for all of us, we know mass detention, mass deportation, mass incarceration is not the path there.
Jonathan, you should know that the Vera Institute is almost as old as I am. They're
Okay.
a very
We are
important vehicle.
64 years old, and Zaid,
Yeah,
you are young at heart. I don't know how old you are, but I know that you are young at heart and in spirit.
I'm as old as the Vera Institute. But the Vera Institute has been pivotal. You know, this is the year of Malcolm's centennial, and Malcolm is one of the greatest redemption stories ever told. The Vera Institute came out of the energy of the early '60s. Early
Right.
60s, about the need to create spaces for men and women coming back from being incarcerated and having meaningful chances to reestablish themselves once they have done their time. The Vera has been way out in front of that and what we now call restorative justice in a way that's very exemplary. Now, Vera Institute also got out front of the question of this attack on resources that the Trump administration just came up with this turning the Justice Department agenda on its head and freezing all funds having to do with all of the important things that the Justice Department was mandated to do, including monies for community-based violence intervention. But before that, the Vera Institute was paid a visit by Doge itself.
That's right.
And before we talk about the community-based violence intervention stuff, Vera, I need you to tell us about the drama that y'all faced meeting Eli and Musk's troops as you met them in the very unholy way that y'all had to be confronted with them. Tell that story.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as I said to Jonathan, I am so grateful to be here tonight and watching the resistance to this administration happening in Newark to say you cannot abduct our mayor, you can't arrest and deport more people, you have to come through us, because this is an administration that will stop at nothing. We have watched them weaponize every tool of government to come after organizations and people who disagree with their agenda. And like I said, Zaid, we do criminal justice work and we work for immigrant justice. And we have long stood for immigrants being part and parcel of our communities, our neighborhoods, our families. And we knew we were in trouble as soon as this administration came into power and they started targeting organizations that are standing up. And so, we're going to talk in a minute about federal funding and how this administration just 2 weeks ago slashed almost $1 billion for communities across the country who are standing up for safety and justice. They just literally ripped away all that funding. But actually, a month ago, they took our funding first. They took $5 million from us, and we are 64 years old as an organization. We've always had federal government support, and suddenly one day we got an email saying, your funding is terminated. And we started sort of poking around to be like, well, is this happening to everybody? And it turns out, no, it was just happening to us. And that's when the alarm bells went off of like, are we being targeted? And then what we heard from inside the House, from inside people we know in the Department of Justice, it was in fact us being targeted because we have been loud and opposing Trump's mass deportation agenda and his cutting of funds for things like treatment and gun violence prevention and all the things that we care about. And so Doge, the Department of Governmental Efficiency, Elon Musk's fake agency that he stood up, they actually emailed us a week after cutting all of our funding to say, we want to talk to you, to talk about installing a Doge team in your organization. And we were like, what?
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 Wait, stop.
Exactly.
Hold on. Let's go back. Let's go back. Right. So what you're saying is you are part of the Vera Institute,
yes,
one of the oldest community organizing organizations that you deal with things like immigrants' rights, prisoners' rights. You deal with all sorts of you're a human rights organization.
That's right.
There's funding that you get from a lot of different private sources, but some of that funding also does come from the federal government. Like you get various federal grants for various programs that you do that are supposed to serve the public interest. So all of that funding was cut. And then after that funding was cut, Doge contacted you and they wanted to put an agent for Doge in your private organization?
That's right. They said, we would like to work with you and install a Doge team in your organization. And we said, what's your basis? And they were like, well, you get federal funding. And we were like, y'all just cut all of our federal funding. I mean, it's an example of this government doesn't know what they're doing, right? They are both bad at their jobs and unaware and also reckless and dangerous. It is a terrible, terrible combo. And so they told us, well, we think we have the right to install ourselves in your organization because you get federal funding. And we said, no, we actually don't. You cut our federal funding. And then they said, well, never mind, that request is withdrawn. But not before we learned this. And this is why we went really public with this, because this is scary if they actually make good on it. They said, we want to work with and install teams in all of the nonprofit organizations that receive federal funding. That's over 100,000 nonprofit organizations across this country. That's a crazy, crazy infiltration of the organizations that do the work and lead where government or the private sector can't or won't, right? So
Okay,
we
so
need
let me
nonprofit
get this right.
organizations, and this Doge wants
Let me get
to
this
come
right,
in and
because
infiltrate this.
seems like what you're saying, right? Is that the United States, like you are a nonprofit organization
Yep.
that deals with human rights, various community issues. You've been one of the oldest ones around, right? You've
That's
been
right.
around for years. And what you're telling me is that that Doge wants to do to you and every other nonprofit organization that receives federal funding is to put basically a spy in the organization. They want surveillance over everything that you do, over the decisions that you make. They want control, literally, over every civic organization that receives federal funding for any reason whatsoever.
Well, so Jonathan, it gets worse than that. We said, what do you mean working with us? And they said, have you heard of the U.S. Institute of Peace? So if you haven't heard of the U.S. Institute of Peace, it's the big organization that's in Washington, D.C. that Doge took over the building, fired all 300 staff, and installed a Doge staffer, a 27-year-old, as the new executive director of this storied institution called the U.S. Institute of Peace. So they basically dismantled the entire organization. You know what?
Now,
That very same staffer was the one who reached out to us, who we met with. So this is what they're doing.
and so the U.S. Institute of Peace was a U.S. or it wasn't a private organization. It was part of the United States federal government.
No, it's a nonprofit organization. It's a 501c3 organization. Yes, it's funded by the federal government, but it's a 501c3. It's a nonprofit organization, like the ones that many of us work at.
So the U.S. Institute of Peace was a 501c3 that just happened to receive federal funding.
Yep. And they literally took it over and fired everybody.
But so the organization that was the 501c3, they willingly gave it up?
No, they've been fighting. They fought to not be thrown out of their building, and literally Doge paid off private security in the building to let them in. And then they basically busted into the building, threw out all the staff. Now the staff are filing a lawsuit. Chances are they're going to win. But yeah.
What I don't understand is, how did they take, like, I could see them defunding the U.S. Institute of Peace. How did were they funding them so much that they had zero independent funding?
Yeah, so it's entirely congressionally funded. So it wasn't as easy as just saying, hey, I'm going to strip all of your government funding in the way that they did to us, because ours comes through the Department of Justice. It's an agency as opposed to coming through Congress. So that was the catch. They couldn't just do what they've done to many other nonprofits, which is defund them. So they had to say, let me take you over entirely. And look, what's the point of this? They don't actually want to run all of our organizations. They want to take a couple of us and make examples of us. And they're betting on organizations, and we've watched law firms, we've watched big universities like Columbia University, we've watched ABC News, we've watched them all take the knee, and they like bend at the knee, and they just give up in the face of Trump's threats. And we decided we're not going to do that. We've been around for 64 years, and in this moment, you either act with courage or you act cravenly. There's only one way you want to be. And so we went to the press about it, and we said, this is what this government is doing. They are trying to make an example of us, and we will not let them.
We're going to cut out for a second, and we're going to hold on just 1 second.
Yeah.
We're going to see what's going on with the protest and some of the people that Ed is talking to. Ed, can you hear me?
Let the mayor go. Yeah. Let the mayor go. Hey, hold on a second.
What's going on right now?
Let the mayor go. We live. Tell Jonathan what you just said. Jonathan, can you hear me?
Yes, you're with
Councilman
Dubray Kelly.
How you doing, John? So we just got word.
Hey, man.
Getting play by play. We just got word that he's in front of the judge. And it look like he'll be out tonight, man. So, you know,
all right, so
man, J. Baraka, and we not standing in a city like Newark, New Jersey, the largest city in the state of New Jersey. We're not standing for the bully in the White House. We've never look. The thing about that is when you bully people, you ignite them, man. You set them on fire. And it's tough to bully people who ain't scared.
Right.
There you go.
Absolutely.
You got it. You heard it from the councilman.
All right, that was the Westward Councilman Dupree Kelly. Is he still
On
there?
before a judge tonight, and so that's good news.
Okay, so that and is the judge, and the question though, is it a federal judge? Is it a specialized ICE judge? What kind of judge is he going before?
Hey, Jonathan, stay with me. I'm gonna try to go get on this with the first lady speaking. Just stay with me for a minute.
Okay.
Stay with me.
So right now you're at the rally. Is that Lawrence Ham? Lawrence Ham?
No justice.
He is there. He is there.
No justice. No justice.
Yes,
No justice. No justice.
Linda Baraka.
No justice. 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 No justice.
As y'all can see.
Whether you're a resident in the state, whether you're a legislator, anybody can have.
We got an interview going on right now. We'll get back up after the interview. Nice little free man Baraka. Free man Baraka.
Don't you like your husband to know about this moment?
Free man Baraka.
He's surrounding him right now.
Free man Baraka.
We love him. We're proud of him. We're thankful that he's
Free man Baraka.
now it's time for the people to stand up for him.
Free man Baraka.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Free man Baraka.
There it
Free
is,
man
Jonathan.
Baraka.
So,
Free
did
man
you get that?
You got it.
Free man Baraka.
All right. Good.
All right, so Ed, if you can line up any other interviews to give us more information, do that. Like,
Yep.
walk up and just ask if they want to talk to us for a little bit.
Yeah.
Free man Baraka.
All right, we'll keep on. Keep us posted. And when you get someone to talk to, just let us know.
All right, I definitely will. All right, just, hey, Jonathan, just be listening once I give you the cue to pull me in so we can talk live. All right.
All right, sounds good. All right,
All
we'll keep you up
right,
here.
and you have me on mute, but you want to be able to hear me when I tell you I got somebody.
All right, and I can also see.
Well, hold on a second, huh?
Free man Baraka. Free man Baraka.
So just make sure you tune in so you can hear me when I get ready to pull in and go
All right,
live.
just give me a visual signal, all right, Ed?
All right.
Because I'm keeping your picture up. So just give me a visual signal.
All right. Make sure you do. All right.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to Incha because she's got a hard stop at 7:30. We'll have some break time between her and Amber coming on at 7:45, so we can definitely zoom in a lot more.
Oh, and Amber can come on at 7:30.
I don't know if
Jonathan,
yes.
Pull me in live because
you're in live.
Baraka is speaking now.
You're in
live.
live.
All right, gotcha.
Free man Baraka. Free man Baraka. Free man Baraka. Free man Baraka.
All right, get it closer so we can hear it.
Free man Baraka.
I walked her in.
Free man Baraka.
All right, Ed, we can't hear.
Free man Baraka.
Ed, you gotta get closer. We can't hear.
Free man Baraka.
Ed, you gotta get closer. We can't hear.
Free man Baraka. Free man Baraka.
Ed, you're gonna have to get a lot closer because we can't hear.
Free man Baraka. Free man Baraka.
They're making that connection with Pargo.
Thank you so much.
Ed, you gotta get us a lot closer. We can't hear.
Free man Baraka. Free man Baraka.
Did y'all get that?
Free
No,
man
Ed,
Baraka.
you have to get us much closer because we can't hear. Secondly, remember, you got to take the headphones out and you have to actually get close.
Yeah, I took the headphones out.
But you have to get real close for them to be able to speak.
Yeah, you're right. The problem is that I was behind all of the cameras, so I couldn't really get close because all the
All right,
cameras
see if
were
you
in front
can
of me.
get someone off the side. Like if they're walking around and they're not talking to somebody, walk up to them and see if they would want to give us
All the way from New
talk to
York,
us and give
all
us
the
an
way from
interview.
New York.
All right.
Stand in solidarity
will do.
with our mayor.
All right, talk to you later. man.
Zion.
Yep.
Jonathan,
All right, thank
who's
you.
that from? Jonathan,
Yes?
who is that from New York getting ready to speak?
Not
Somebody
sure.
from- Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
All right, so Ensha, again, like what you were telling me was fascinating. We were talking about the way that they wanted to silence people, the way that they were trying to silence your 501c3 organization, and what they're doing. Tell us more about that. I know you don't have much more time, and anything else that you think is super important that in terms of what you are doing.
Yeah, so look, we're just one organization that most people, like Eure Institute of Justice, is not a household name, although it might be for people on this call. But the point is, this is just the way this administration is trying to kneecap the organizations that make up a free and healthy democracy. And they are not going to stop. In fact, like what we're seeing
Hey, Jonathan, I got Minnie.
arresting the mayor.
Pull Minnie in?
It's about
All right, yes.
What's up?
Again,
you
can
want
we
to talk to
Ensha,
him?
we'll be right back. Yes, absolutely.
And he taught us.
So, hey man, what is going on right now? What like in terms of the mayor? Has he been able to see a lawyer? What is the update?
We can't hear you, Jonathan. So just tell me what you want.
Behind this fence,
What you want to ask?
have no regard.
What is the update? Has he been able to see a lawyer? What is the update on the mayor and him getting out?
All he has been asking for is that they follow
what is the latest update on the mayor? Does he know how he is? And does he know when he is getting when he's being able to see a lawyer?
And for that,
Okay.
And more importantly, who is speaking now?
We know that the mayor did nothing wrong. We know that the mayor is showing us what we have to do right
in front of the judge right now,
which is fight for each and every person across this country. Fight for their rights. And in a time when too many think the only option is surrender, we have to show the mayor that we have his back. We have his back. And I want to tell you one thing.
Is it a federal judge?
Get that? Minnie just said that Bondi was trying to keep him in over the weekend, but they got him before the judge, and so we're trying to get him out right now. He's before the judge.
Now, is it a federal judge? Is it an ICE judge? Like what kind of system is it in? Is it a federal judge or is it a judge that is specific to ICE?
Okay. You know what kind of judge it is?
It doesn't matter whether you're from Newark. It doesn't matter whether you're from New Jersey. All that matters is that you have some basic
all we needed to get was a hearing, an emergency hearing, because they were trying to wait it out for everybody to go home. Because they tried to put him in jail as he was a regular citizen. And because it's close to the weekend, they wanted to wait until everyone went home. However, we used the legislative authority in folks that's in DC. They helped us out. Legislative Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, legislators, they helped us out. And they made sure that we got an emergency. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So the congresswoman and other legislative officials helped them to be able to get that. Have the other Democratic candidates for running for governor also chimed in to help?
If we
Have the other Democratic candidates who are running for governor, have they chimed in to help?
The governor did intervene. The governor's been in touch with me all day. He actually helped us get the judges back to the office. He's been waiting for ICE to communicate. So the governor's been 1,000%. He even put out a statement talking about ICE and how illegal it was to arrest the mayor in his own city.
Okay. And how about the other federal officials like this? Yes, the governor was incredibly helpful in terms of trying to arrange this.
So we just got a text, and it says that the mayor is still with the judge right now.
Okay, the mayor is still with the judge right now, and there are a series of people who are running for governor. Have they reached out to lend their support and help? Have the people running for governor?
The governorship reached out
No, but the funny thing is, they all tweeted, they all pages, in solidarity with
So at this point in time, not only is the mayor being locked up, he's doing two things. He's uniting the Democratic Party as well. So the Democratic Party is tweeting out Free Mayor Baraka as well. So I must say that.
Okay.
So you got that, Jonathan? The Democratic Party is also tweeting out Free the Mayor.
Jonathan. Actually, the chairman is down.
So the chairman, I did see Chairman Leroy Jones here earlier as well.
There's a whole lot of folks there.
You got any other questions, Jonathan?
Only one other, and that is when do we expect to hear anything else? And what has the interaction been? The question is, what has the interaction been with like Pam Bondi or any of these people from ICE? What have they officially said? What have they officially said in terms of even why he was arrested?
Whose city? What is Pam Bondi and them said? What is the official reason why they arrested the man here in his office? United. The official, I don't know if it's official, but from what I'm hearing, they said it was trespassing. So, which is a lie because he was arrested on public property. He went inside the federal facility and they didn't touch him. But when he got outside the federal facility, they arrested him. So I don't know how that's trespassing.
And especially if you are arresting him, a mayor of a city, on city property.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ed. Zaid, do you have any? Donna, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have questions. I was there, but I was trying to tell you. And so
All right. So Jonathan is asking, do we know exactly when we might get an update as to when the mayor's going to be released?
I'm getting a minute by minute update.
All right. So Jonathan Minnie said he's getting a minute by minute. So as soon as he gets a text, he said he just got a text. Minnie said he would get an update in about 30 minutes. So
okay, thank you.
I'll stick around with Minnie. If we get anything, I'll pull him back in. We'll go live so we can let everybody know what's going on.
All right, thank you.
All right,
I was trying to.
Good enough. Thanks, man.
All right, that was, and thank you, Ed. And that was Amiri Baraka, the Midi Baraka, the chief of staff for the mayor of the city of Newark, with Ed Riley.
Now, what I was trying
And
to tell you.
Jonathan, so just since you get ready to speak, can you just give for people who are just coming on late, welcome Sister Amber, and who are just joining us. I heard you say that you were there. Can you just really highlight for people that are joining real quick? Mayor Rocco was down at the assembly. He got detained. He'll be before a judge. Can you just give a short summary so people can catch up to us?
He's before a judge right now. That's the latest that we just got. The folks are fully mobilized. There's a broad representation of what the city looks like at that rally. As I was there, there was an inner circle of advocates. Amal Senior of the ACLU addressed the rally. We had Charles Boyer from Salvation and Social Justice address the rally. As they were doing that, I was pulling in Congresswoman Bonnie Coleman Watson, Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, and Congresswoman Menendez. And they actually had held court with press. Congresswoman Watson, Coleman, and Menendez especially really got some words in with press as we were trying to pull them closer. Mayor Matt from Plainfield was there. Shavonda Sumter, Shavonda Sumter was also there. As I was leaving, Senator Angela McKnight was arriving, right? So a lot of folks from the area in terms of elected officials were very present, right? But more important than that, the community was in full blast, right? They grabbed the wrong mayor with this one. And let us hope that this not only mobilizes the base, but that it radicalizes the base. See, the problem with these jive Democrats is they're afraid to step to the left on principle, and that's what this historical moment calls for. And that's why Raz is where he is and doing what he did. And we all need to. That's the point that needs to be rallied around, and we cannot dance around that the way some might want to.
Right,
And
because it seems.
And Principal Cofelli just announced that Fulop made a statement as well. Mayor Fulop made a statement. I apologize.
And I think that what you're saying is so right in so many of what we do. I've been having conversations with various people in various organizations that are so trying to play it safe, that are worried about, well, if we do this, then they will attack us. If we do this, they're going to attack you anyway.
Goddamn way, fight back.
They're already attacking you, right? If you stand on principle, they're already attacking you.
Fight back.
They are going for you. Like, this is a statement that is, we can do this to your mayor and the representative. So that means that we can do that to him. That means we can do that to anybody. He is an elected official of the city of Newark. He is a popularly elected official of the city of Newark. He does not just represent himself. He represents all the people of this city. So that when you are kidnapping him, and what his brother, his chief of staff, just said, is they were trying to delay him so he would have to stay there over the weekend. When you are literally kidnapping him on no charges, when you arrest him on actual city property, you are actually doing to him what you do to undocumented people. What our guest that we had on before said, they sometimes pose as Jehovah's Witnesses. They sometimes pose as a knock on your door, like, hey, we're Mormons or we're Jehovah's Witnesses. And they come and they take you, right?
They are.
Right. And they come and they take you, and because they don't have to abide by the same rules. So you may see someone, you may not see someone. Apparently, they had to use both state and federal authorities to be able to get to a judge. Something that is very rare that you're able to do. They had to literally have the governor of the state of New Jersey intervene. They literally had to have congressional delegations intervene on a federal level in order to see a judge, because the attorney general wanted him to be there for the entire weekend. That is what they wanted to do.
I like to see Jonathan get fired up. But here's the thing, Jonathan. They are going to do that. The question is, what are we going to do? What you are looking at, what you are witnessing with this mass response, with this mass action, is the basis of what solidarity looks like. They come after one, we all must respond.
Right. And Ed is waving. I think he has an interview.
Trying to wave in.
Yeah.
All right, Ed, what's up?
Hey, Jonathan, we just got a big update. The judge just said that the mayor has to be released right now.
Okay.
So we're
waiting. Not later tonight, right now.
They just said he has to be released right now.
Not
7:38 p.m.
And you got that from the chief of staff, from Mitty?
No. Yes.
Okay.
Mitty is right in front of me.
This has been such a wild turn of events. Oh my God.
Yes. Mitty just got the text on his phone that the judge says the mayor has to be released right now.
Okay, great.
Right on. Now listen, to bring it back to where we are on the show, when my phone started ringing for this, the first person to ring me was Amber, all the way down in Memphis. Right? That's right. That's what solidarity looks like.
Right.
Y'all know they out there locking niggas up.
The question is what we gonna do. Right? The order of the day calls for solidarity without compromise, without hesitation, without no flim-flam and no bullshit, none of that. The order of the day is solidarity, like we showed up at that space on 620 Freeland Island Avenue, and that called me all the way from Memphis, Tennessee. Now, on that note, they need some solidarity in Memphis.
Absolutely.
Rotting behind Negro police that killed Tyre Nichols, found a punk court situation that got them off on state charges, although they're still tied up on federal charges. And I'm getting hoarse.
Even though when we're talking about them being tied up on federal charges, well, you can talk about all of this, Amber. This was a national case. We have seen what happened. This man was murdered by police, beaten to death, unarmed, right? We know what happened in Memphis. And it seems like some of these officers were just acquitted for what we saw was murder. You are you are the head of Black Lives Matter in Memphis.
I am
Talk
not.
to us. What's going?
I am not. I am a
My
member of
bad.
our official BLM Memphis chapter here in Memphis. I'm a
Fair.
policy organizer, but I definitely am not the head. I'm not even on the board. I'm just a volunteer. There's
That's my apology. You are a member. You are just a member of Black Lives Matter Memphis. There is no head. You
Black
are
Lives Matter Memphis chapter.
of the official Black Lives Matter Memphis chapter. All right.
And I just want y'all to know, I do tell Zaid that every single time. He always drops that official off. I don't know why. He just be dropping it off. Like I never put it in there. But yeah, they were acquitted and it was some, oh, can I cuss?
Yes.
Okay. They was acquitted and it was some bullshit. And the first day I was really upset about it. Yesterday we had a really big rally with his family and a protest, and I'm feeling like better about the situation, but I do feel like it heavily emboldens police to just feel like they can just do whatever they want.
Absolutely.
I can have my body camera on. You can see me bragging about hitting somebody on camera, calling somebody the real MVP and congratulating them, and then get off. No murder charges. And I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. And I mean, similarly to Mayor Ras Baraka, I'm not an elected official here, but I did get arrested a few weeks ago. Randomly. And so I feel like there's like a pattern happening here where like the police really feel like they can kind of do whatever they want. They already have kind of been pushing the limits, arresting me. Some of my other friends got arrested earlier in the year. They've really been just kind of doing whatever they want and getting real close to, breaking the law and not killing you. And so I'm really worried about this verdict because of that reason. They will be facing federal time. Justin Smith and Tadarius Bean are only facing up to 20 years in federal prison, but Demetrius Haley is facing up to life in prison. It's like 60 or more years, which is life in the federal prison like code or whatever. And so we're just hoping that the federal judges give them the max time for all of them, because Emmett Martin III and Desmond Mills are already going to prison. They got federal and state charges they pleaded guilty to, so they're done for. And so we just want to.
Now, when you're looking at the people who've been convicted on federal charges, or how does that work when you have a different Justice Department that doesn't really care about civil rights?
I mean, I don't think they. For one, I don't see Trump pardoning them niggas. To be real, let's be serious here.
Okay, fair.
Secondly, the Department of Justice is no longer. They don't have any kind of like control over the case. The federal judge is the person who sentences him, and the federal judge is not fucking with them. So I think they're going to get close to the max. But I mean, there's nothing that the DOJ can do. The case has already happened. They were convicted. They were let go on some stuff. That's it.
Okay. So even though they've been acquitted, all of the people who have been acquitted in the state case have been convicted in federal cases.
All of them have convictions, but Desmond Mills and Emmett Martin III have state and federal convictions.
Okay. So even though this is a travesty in terms of the state, they are still going to jail. They are not walking free based on what they're not walking free for murder.
But I do agree with my friend LJ, who's another organizer who's been working closely with Tyre's family. She said something yesterday at the rally that I definitely agree with. It's not about them still going to prison. The state charges really feel important to the family because they were the only murder charges, and they murdered Tyre. Right. And so they wanted to make sure that they were found guilty of that. Now, I'm an abolitionist. I don't believe in the prison system anyways. So to me, the only true justice is all 5 of them getting the shit beat out of them, just like Tyre. If that's not happening, that ain't real justice to me. But that's what his family wanted. They wanted them to be found guilty. And they feel like because that didn't happen, they didn't really get the justice they deserve because he was murdered. It's not just about them tampering with witness documents. It's not just about them lying about the medical care. It's about them actually doing the actions that killed him. And I can understand that because I didn't lose somebody and they did. And I try to be very respectful of also what families want. And that's how his family feels.
You are, when you were talking before, you talked about just the harassment that's going on, right? Like, and we all know about COINTELPRO. We know that they're part of what the federal and state and local governments did on a regular basis is they arrested people simply to harass them. And do you think that is what's going on right now? That there's a level of harassment that's just going on?
We just saw y'all mayor get arrested for nothing. So, I mean, I definitely think that's what's happening. That's happening here in Tennessee. It's not just in Memphis. It's happening in other places too. It's happening all across the country right now. I mean, in California, like people are getting harassed and arrested because they feel like the police feel even more emboldened with this new president. They can just get away with whatever they want.
That's right.
And
He
when you say
putting
you
out
were arrested,
executive orders every other day talking about how much he love the police. So
that is true. And the executive order that one of the executive orders that he put out was to make it even easier for police to not be held accountable for excessive force or for things that would be illegal. Now, in the case that you're talking about right now, right, like where the state was like no murder took place, that was a jury trial.
yeah, it was a jury trial, and I know a lot of people have been really hard on the judge and other people right now, but I actually think the judge did a pretty good job of trying to be impartial but fair because they originally wanted to move the entire case to a totally different county. That's what the defense asked for. They ended up picking a jury in Chattanooga and bringing that jury to Memphis, and they were sequestered, but they wanted to move the whole case away from Memphis. So he did say no to that. And he was denying motions left and right through the whole trial, too. I mean, they were putting in acquittal motions every other day. They were putting in motions about including stuff from his car that had nothing to do with him being stopped because he didn't actually have a ticket for anything. So they can't try to, keep something and say this is evidence for a crime because there is no crime other than the one that they committed. And they were trying to get that stuff put in because there were some shrooms in his trunk, even though he wasn't high on shrooms. There were some stolen credit cards that someone who had the car before him had left in the car, and they were actually in jail for the crimes. They got convicted of it. They're in jail right now. So obviously it wasn't Tyre who did it, but they were just trying to put in as much stuff as they could to confuse the jury. And I thought the judge did a really good job of pushing back against that and still trying to be fair. But that jury they picked was mostly white people. There was only
what was the composition?
There was only one person who was First Nations, so Native American, and then one guy who they said was ethnically ambiguous. They said he wasn't black. He wasn't mixed with black, but they could not figure out what he was mixed with. I guess they can't ask them, or they didn't want to ask him, so they didn't ask him. So it was just those two people that were people of color. No black people, though. And then there was like a Hispanic person, I think, and the rest of them were white.
And so they had evidence that because they had the video, right? Like, I mean, there was ample that there was an unarmed man that was beaten to death, and they so devalued it. It is almost like, and these were all black cops, right? Like that were doing this.
There was a white cop that was there who initially stopped him. The person who stopped him initially was a white guy.
Right.
And then that guy didn't go with them, but he yelled out, "Yeah, beat his ass," and then he left. So left them to do whatever they were gonna do, and make sure he didn't get in trouble. He dipped.
Wow. And so all that, and there's no crime that's been committed, right? Like, and for this federal government to recognize it, but for the state to not recognize it, like,
I think it says a lot about the state of Tennessee and the makeup of Tennessee. And I think Tyre Nichols' mom explained it very well when she said they didn't see any of the video evidence. They didn't see any of the stuff they showed them. All they saw was a black guy running. And if you're running, that means you automatically did something wrong. And the police are after you for a reason and you're guilty. And I think that's exactly what they saw. And everybody knows here, and I'm sure where y'all are too, if you run from the police, they gonna beat you because you made them run. So now you're going to get punished in some way because they made you run after them. I do want to just give the stats for Shelby County versus Hamilton County, where the jury came from. Shelby County is 54% black, 33% white, and 9% Latino. Hamilton County is 70% white, 18% black, and 8% Latino.
So they deliberately went to a county where there were far fewer
three-card Monty. That's what we call that.
And even the switching of the venue to begin with seems to be like the why, right? Like, why can you get away with it? You can't get a fair trial in the city that you are from and your police officers there. It seems like that city would have a vested interest in impartial justice in that case, because you want your police officers to be treated fairly, right? You want your police officers to protect you. And if they're protecting you, you'd be like, yes, you were protecting me. If they weren't protecting you, you'd be like, nah, you were actually a threat to me. It seems like those people who were locally have the most interest in a fair and impartial decision that is being made, but they took it out of that decision anyway and gave it to a county that was far more significantly white.
Because the defense argued that Memphis was too tainted, the Shelby County jury pool was too tainted, and that we weren't smart enough to be able to understand the complexities of the evidence, and that they needed to move it somewhere else.
So the whole county was too dumb to be able to evaluate the
case. They said we just dumb as fucking Memphis.
That's right.
It's not like I got multiple degrees hanging in my living room or anything. We're just all stupid.
That's
can't read, we can't understand. We ain't got no critical thinking skills. So they had to move it somewhere with more white people because that's where the smart people are.
Wow.
Which was also racist as fuck.
That's
right.
And these were Black defense attorneys arguing this. We also know that the bougie, upper class people, they don't think that they really Black. Anyways, they separate themselves. And I said, there's no way I could defend someone who I can see beating the shit out of somebody on camera, and I can go by and nitpick every single thing they did to try to say this wasn't that bad. They were told they could do this many hits, they can do this many kicks. I can't imagine myself doing that. But when you separate yourself from working class people and don't have no morals, you get he behaving. They must have let him out.
We're gonna cut out. We're gonna cut out for a second because we have covering this. What's up, Ed? Ed, what's up?
We can't hear you.
Ed, you're on mute. Ed, you're on mute. Ed, can you hear me? You're on mute.
Can't hear you.
Jonathan, can you hear me?
There you go.
I can hear you now.
The mayor has walked out.
All
He's
right.
getting ready to speak.
He's backing up. Back up.
Get closer, Ed.
They're asking everybody to get back, so I'll try to get as close as I can.
Ed, you gotta act like you pressed. You pressed.
Sister Amber said, "Get closer, Ed."
The problem is you can't get closer. They're asking everybody to get back.
I'm trying to feel like I'm there, but I understand.
They're asking everybody to get back.
Because you press.
Ed don't push. You can fight though, but
you are a member of the press.
They're asking everybody to get back.
But you press, Ed.
Ed, you don't have your press badge? What is going on?
That's what I was gonna say. Jonathan, you gotta be press badge.
I'm sorry I had to leave.
Okay, well, stay with me. Stay with me. So I don't leave it.
Y'all should have seen somebody more aggressive down there.
Is he talking?
Yeah, that's the mayor. The mayor's talking, Jonathan, so I'm not sure if you can hear him.
We can't.
Because you ain't close enough. You acting like
That's what I think our college people coming out after dinner. Trying to get rid of the Bible.
We know he thanks the Congress.
I don't want anybody else to get out to get hurt or arrested out here like we out here. So I'm gonna ask the guy that I need to clear this place out completely. To clear it out, clear the road down, walk away from here from this place. Do not stand out here, do not live around here. Everybody was out here for one reason. We got to make sure that I'm out, I'm going home.
That's right, Red. Let's go. Going home. I'm right here. Walk up. Walk up.
And it's okay. This is a part of what democracy is about. And I'm glad please go home to your families.
All right, you are.
So the mayor's out. He just asked everybody to go home to their families. Wake up so we can move out. So let's go that way, kid.
Which way?
What's up, man?
Well, Ted,
I wish we could have
How you
heard
feel,
you.
brother? Good, man. Good to see you. Yes, sir.
all right, Ed,
I wish
thank
we
you.
could have
So,
heard it too.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So the mayor's out. He's asked everybody to go home so we can clear out. It's a lot of people out here. So it was clearly a success. The community, all the elected officials, everybody came out to support the mayor.
Good. All right, man. We know that we're going to have a lot more continuing coverage. If you run into anyone else, please let us know.
Yep.
And thanks a lot, Ed, man. Just
Yep.
continue. We'll keep you around in the background so you continue to show people as they're going out.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right.
All right.
Talk to you soon, man. All right. Thank you, Amber, and thank you for your patience with that as well. By the way, we love having you on. Like,
Yes,
we
we
got to
do.
have you on more. Like, for real. Like, this has been way too long before
got her
having you
own
on. We
show.
just need to have you on when something doesn't break off. We need to just get you on just to talk, right? And just to break things down and tell us what's going on. Part of what we want to do all the time when All Politics Are Local is see what's going on in different parts of the country. Like, we have activists out in Denver. We have you in Memphis. We have activists in Atlanta. We have activists in Boston. We want to make sure that we can literally bring people together because, as you said, I think it's more important now than ever before that we talk.
That's right. In
And,
fact,
and it's important, you know, I'm a watcher of the View, and one of the things that Whoopi closes with every day is to let everybody know that you're not alone. So when you bring people together from, like you said, Jonathan, from Colorado, from Tennessee, and from all these different locations,
Milwaukee
it
and
helps people
Chicago,
to
right.
see that we are not alone. You know, you're not speaking for yourself, you're speaking for the masses. Zaid, when you were there earlier, so it started out with as little as how many people, and it looks like there's over. What do you think
no,
the
it was
numbers
packed.
were?
It's a
It
lot
was
out
packed.
there.
It
Yep.
was packed. Right?
But
Yeah.
Freeland
Well,
High.
but
my bad.
Freeland High
oh
is a
no,
big.
I wanted to get back to you, Amber, because I know that you're going to be leaving very, very soon. So
Yeah.
what I wanted to do was just get to direct it back to you because I know we're going to have time to talk about this a little later. You were talking about like when you're talking about what happened in Memphis inside of that particular structure. What are some of the things that you would that you want people there locally to work on, or what are you working on that would make a difference? Because a lot of people, as I said, I'm a debate coach. We have a lot of things our students argue and
I did
run.
debate in high school, and I was great at it.
Oh, I'm sure.
You were.
I'm sure. I am sure. I would have loved to have you on my
lost that.
team. That would be amazing, right?
Yeah, I was really good. I get to see a speaker awards and everything.
Oh, we have to have a show just about that, right?
Hell yeah.
Because we have debaters do things all over the country that are important. And actually, later, over the summer, I would love for you to talk to my students as well.
Yeah,
To
I'm
talk
always trying
about
to corrupt the children.
Absolutely. See, that's what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And
I was just gonna say, when I found out about Mayor Baraka getting arrested, I texted this dude that I'm dating that lives in Newark, and I was like, "Are you seeing this right now?" And I was sending him the videos and stuff. He was like, "That's crazy." I said, "I know, it's insane." And then I predicted this. I said, and I got to get on this show that's in Newark for this radio show thing, and I feel like they're gonna be down there because they know him. I'm gonna see if it's really gonna happen. And then I predicted it, and I got on the air, was down there.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And now we're just talking about well, first of all, Zaid was down there from the beginning.
I knew
right?
Zaid was going.
He was down there before it jumped off, right?
Oh, you're pushing everybody the hell out the goddamn way, taking care of the people that need to be taken care of, and making sure shit was right.
Because the congresswoman, I found my friend who knows somebody who works in her office found out that she got hit because I told her. I was like, yeah, somebody didn't hit the congresswoman, and they love her. So I was like, what? And that's how her like our young Dem friends found out about it, and they were talking about it. I was like, yeah, she looked like she's doing okay though, but I was like, yo, that was really aggressive.
Right.
She is
right.
Bonnie
Like they
Coleman
literally
Watson
struck a
is
sitting
in
congresswoman.
her
Like
70s.
federal officials put their hands on a
A
congresswoman.
black female elder woman.
Right. Well, she's not elder, but she's
Bonnie
you don't
Coleman
put your
Watson
hands on.
is in her 70s.
Oh no, I thought they attacked Monica McGovern.
No, it was
Bonnie
Congresswoman
Watson
Bonnie
Yeah,
Coleman.
they did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
Congresswoman McIver,
Because somebody was trying to
Coleman.
help her stay standing up.
Yeah.
I saw the video where they were trying to help her stay standing up because they had hit her and
Wow.
like knocked her. Yeah, I was like, that's an elder.
Wow.
That's insane.
Gotta tell you.
I know more about the tea than y'all do. This is how I know I be in people's business.
But that's why we got to put everyone together, right? that is exactly it, right? So we get little pieces. We've been getting little pieces of the story all night long.
Yeah. So we're actually working on a lot of policy stuff here. When I first came on, when this first happened, when Tyre was first killed, we pushed for several ordinances in local government, and we got 5 of them passed, 6 of them passed. One of them was about data transparency, which was about them actually publishing a dashboard showing traffic stops and traffic citations in real time, and a dashboard for internal affairs and people to see the status of their complaints. The dashboard never showed up, was just out in the wind. And so then I started pressing our newly elected mayor last year on it, like trying to really bargain with the the relationship that we're trying to form and really push for some substantive policy stuff, and also get the actual ordinances that we had enforced, because they weren't being enforced because the previous mayor didn't even sign them. There's like a law that says after 10 days it automatically go into effect, but usually he would sign them. He was just so upset and nonchalant about it, he didn't even sign them. That he never really enforced them. So we were able to get him to connect me with the data director for the police department to actually push for the dashboards and get them formed. That dashboard just went up 2 weeks ago. So it's been almost 2 years before we even able to get that thing up. But there's multiple dashboards, and people can see when someone is stopped, where they're stopped, what officers are stopping them, what's the disposition, why they were being stopped. So then we can use that data and really push the issue around pretextual stops. The pretextual stop ordinance also passed, which banned certain pretextual stops. But
what is a pretextual stop? What does that mean? What is a
pretextual stop? Is a stop that only has to do with financial responsibility. So like an expired tag, maybe a loose bumper, your vehicle registration isn't paid, you have a suspended driver's license, your brake light is out. Like none of these things are actual crimes, and they're literally about financial responsibility. And they use those things to target poor people because usually they're the ones who are going to have those issues, or cracking your windshield, something hanging in your rearview mirror. You've seen like how Black men have been stopped in these traffic stops where they end up being killed, and one of the things was them saying something was hanging in their mirror.
Right.
Like that's a common type of pretextual stop that happens a lot. And so we want to ban those. We wrote an ordinance that had 11. They took that down to 6 and modeled it after the pretextual stop ordinances in Philadelphia, actually, that was passed by a city council member there. So we were able to pass that. And then the state government came in and wrote a bill to undo our ordinance that said you cannot limit any of the authority of police officers. Me and my friend Alex, and our friend Chelsea, who's in Decarcerate Memphis, the org that works on like literally decarcerating the city, went up there every other day for almost 2 weeks to lobby state representatives and got them to add an amendment that narrows it down to just traffic stops. That way, if something else was to happen that did not have to do with traffic stops, we could probably still write a policy to change that, because this bill was able to get at least limited to traffic stops, since we couldn't kill the actual bill. So after that, we had the LDF, the NAACP LDF, sent a letter to our current mayor saying that you have
to. And the LDF is the Legal Defense Fund.
Yeah, the Legal Defense Fund.
We had to write a letter.
Huh?
Are you going to be with them in Atlanta in June? LDF.
Honestly, if I was, I wouldn't tell you on this live broadcast, anyways.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
She
told me we're being targeted. You're like, where is your location going to be? What's your agenda?
I know you light skin, so it's different for you light skin. They don't mess with you as much. I'm a smooth chocolate black woman with a fro. They hate me, hate my stinking guts. But after that, with the LDF, we got them to send them a letter to the mayor saying that you have to enforce this ordinance, because laws in Tennessee, like most states, are not allowed to be written retroactively. Unless it's an administrative law specific around like administration of the government. But you cannot change anything else like retroactively to what someone else has passed. So basically undo what we did. And we have home rule here. So depending on how they wrote the bill, we actually might have been able to sue them, because we have home rule. You can't write state legislation that specifically targets us and only us. that's illegal. But because it wasn't super duper concise around what we passed, it was going to be kind of hard to push that argument. So we just been trying to really push the mayor on enforcing it. They got the letter. They didn't really do much after getting the letter. We did a lot of press around it to like really press the issue also. So he got a lot of press requests, and I think that they kind of pushed him to try to figure out some kind of response. And we're waiting to see now how we can really try to figure out strategically what other ways we can pressure him to get him to actually enforce them. But we have been able to get him to move on a lot of things after the DOJ report came out. So that's one of the reasons why we really were able to push him on the data transparency ordinance. We're also working with them on a mental health policy right now because the DOJ report highlighted how, on average, they were sending 8 or 9 police officers to mental health calls, even though that's not the policy.
Wow.
When it wasn't necessary. And over 70% of the calls were nonviolent. It was just literally somebody who wants to talk to someone, but they were asking for mental health and sending 8 to 9 on average officers to someone's house. And one call, there was like a young child that they like jumped on and injured. Like there were multiple incidents. And so we explained to the mayor that you need to remove the police from the mental health calls. And so right now we're finna launch a 90-day pilot at the beginning of next month to have the police officers not be included in the mental health calls, just to show them that it's definitely possible and they still be nonviolent. And I thought a lot about Najee and the work that he was doing in Newark. We were working on this.
Let me brief you on
with
that.
a lot of mental health crisis response teams.
Yeah.
We met with folks in Oregon, in Chicago, and I remember the work that they were doing here in Newark because I also know the BLM Patterson chapter there, and so I've been like talking with them a little bit, but also made me think about that work that he was doing because I was like, this is very much possible. Like I know people who were able to do this and did not have any violence or any issues, and everything was fine.
Let me brief you on that one. We just had a press conference yesterday with the family of Andrew Washington. It's the Seabrooks Washington bill that you're referring to, right? The Attorney General, of course, came with a no bill of indictment for the officers that were sent to his case, his situation, and wound up killing him. And even though the governor signed into law the Seabrooks Washington bill, which mandates the creation of these community-led crisis response teams, right? In 6 counties, not a single dime has been delivered to any of the entities that prepared themselves to be grantees for this whole situation. So we've got some bureaucratic obstacles that we're fighting tooth and nail just to get the damn money released so we can do the work. And of course, since then, other people have been killed. We had a major killing of a young Korean sister, Victoria Lee, in Bergen County, not far from where we are. Bergen County is very close to the city. If coming from where we are, heading into the city, so we still got a ways to go. Now, where you mentioned in Oregon, Cahoots was way out in front of this. But
Cahoots is such a cool program. Like we learned so much.
Absolutely, that should be the model. That should be the model. Absolutely. So,
Chicago has a really, really good model. I like how they have a different number completely.
Right.
Exactly. Right. And that's, we've been fighting with the state on, because that whole thing with call center culture, that's some wild stuff. That is just as wild and just as racist and just as biased as dealing with the racism of the police and the courts itself. So that's
you said call center culture?
Yes. How calls are handled. Major Gouliadale III, man who'd been a decorated vet, who'd been in the military from Orange, New Jersey, Donna, since he was 18 years old, retired from the Pentagon. Folks knew who he was. He has a mental health crisis. His wife calls and said, I'm worried about my husband harming himself. They come in 12 seconds, dropped him, and he's gone. 2 months before that, a white vet, armed, came, they cordoned off the area, talked to the man, did all you're supposed to do, and took him to the hospital the way you're supposed to take somebody to the hospital, right? So, that was a very different call. Wife calls, call center, black man with a gun, not Major Dale needs some help. Black man with a gun, that's all they needed. And that's how they came and took that black man out.
And these cases are right. in terms of mental health and how it's dealt with. What are some of the other policies that you've actually worked with and worked on? We got to have you talk to my students.
Oh yeah. And we got to add
Sorry,
another
my dog started
conversation.
barking as soon as I was going to say something. Those are the main ones we worked on so far. We've written a special units audit type of ordinance that we're going to be pushing for through our city council. And what that would do is add in an audit component into special units, because we have a lot of those here, and that's the type of unit that killed Tyre Nichols. And it will require them to have certain criteria, because right now they have none. And so they can't really be held accountable at all, because there's no criteria for like what is, wrong. How many times can you hit somebody or get so many complaints and then you're off of this task force? So we're writing this ordinance. Well, it's written already, but we're going to present this ordinance. We're looking for a sponsor right now to get that passed. And it says if you don't meet these certain standards, then your unit is disbanded. So they'll be audited quarterly, and then if they don't meet certain standards, then they'll be disbanded, and you just shut out look, basically. So that's our way of trying to get rid of the special units in some way, because
transparency and accountability go together. That would be groundbreaking if y'all can pull that off, because that's the thing. They create these special units. There's no accountability. There's no transparency. They just let them go buck wild, doing what the hell they do, and it's all right. For all that we had going on with the police reform effort here in Newark, and the so-called improvement of the police community relationship, when it comes to the special forces and the undercovers, they not us, right? The jump out boys are still the jump out boys.
Very much still jump out boys. I said I did not know until the case with Tyre that everybody calls them that. Like, this is a universal thing. Like, they literally be doing this everywhere.
Yes, yes, with impunity.
Which is why I love that local activists from all over the country have these conversations.
I just want to clarify that I'm an organizer.
Right on.
I don't be taking them other titles like that.
Yeah,
Very much an organizer, and a successful one.
Because you actually organize things that are practical and actually get some stuff done.
That's right.
Is that really the and working with a lot of young people and working with a lot of the theory that people talk about, and they believe that we went from slavery to Jim Crow to the prison industrial complex and nothing changes. Whiteness just reforms itself. And therefore, working in politics, working within the system is impossible. You don't work with the government. You don't ever engage the government, because that has never worked. You just do other things. You just don't engage at all.
I don't think that's realistic. Like, if we're going to be serious here, like, I'm an abolitionist. I have talked about that plenty of times, but there's no way for you to get to abolition if you're not taking little steps to literally decarcerate or remove police access to people. Like, it's not going to be, people aren't just going to wake up one day and say they're going to abolish the police. That's just not going to happen. So you have to be strategic and think of ways to decrease interaction with police. And that takes time. And that also takes policy, because the policies that we passed, that I just talked about, the ones we passed 2 years ago, don't exist anywhere else.
That's right.
Like, these were groundbreaking policies, and they were able to decrease the amount of interaction people were having with the police. And you have to do that over and over again, pushing at different types of issues, working through mental health, working on traffic stops to remove police access to people to keep them safe, because that's what actually keeps us safe. So I don't believe that you can't work in a system because you're supposed to be just trying to get rid of it. You have to use your path in those systems, but just don't become absorbed by the system, because that's what happens to cops. Cops be on that bullshit talking about, I want to join and make it better. And they never do that, because they're all adopting the same system and practices of white supremacy. But I've seen people be city council members, be school board members, work within county government, work within city government, and be able to push things forward and get where we need to be. Because the main people in the city government who helped me were city council members and their staff. Like, folks aren't using them how they should. I was able to literally change the access to city council meetings through this process earlier in the year, because people couldn't come to the meetings because they're at 3:30 in the middle of the day. And I pressured them to move the meeting time to 4 p.m. So you really get there like 4:30 after work and still be able to participate. And the only reason why the time hadn't been changed because no one ever even asked. And that's why I always tell people, at least ask about it. Like, people are assuming there's nothing you can do. I asked them to change the meeting time, and I asked them to make the parking free across the street in the garage right next to the city council building. And they did. So it's possible. We just really need people to be courageous and take the steps and be willing to play the long game. Because I hated realizing how long policy would take. I hated having to play the long game. But that's the only way you're going to win anything.
Can't stand it. Can't stand it. But so right. Amber, on that point, now you also have the special task in your organizing of organizing so-called young Democrats to get themselves ready to get in the damn game, right?
Mm-hmm.
As this climate has shifted in recent months, and this ridiculous, backwards, deadly shift to the far right, as we see what just happened in the courtroom with these 3 Negro pigs that did what they did to Tyre, and the state did nothing to hold them accountable. What do you see? How has that affected your capacity to organize, and I must add, radicalize the young folks you organizing to get in the game?
I mean, I think I'm still using some of the similar tactics. I explained to people before who were asking me like why I was involved with Young Dems, and I was like, most of the people who are radical want to be in some kind of political space are going to be in Young Dems because that's what's most popular and most likely wherever they are. And then you have to find those people, which are usually the Black people, because I'm the Young Dems of America Black Caucus chair. And they're very radical. They just literally had no outlet for it. So then we're able to connect them with other resources and other orgs, but you would never have that opportunity if you don't even enter the space.
So right.
So it's interesting because what you are like running a clinic on, and I think that you being a former debater, I think that you would probably be very influential into a lot of young people's minds, right? Because I think that a lot of people talk about a lot of kids, a lot of coaches, a lot of college kids, they talk theoretically about abolition and they talk theoretically about it, but they're not really applying it in the streets. They're not really applying it practically. And it seems like one of the reasons why I even do this program, right? Because again, I'm a debate coach. I spend most of my time at debate tournaments. The reason why this program is it keeps me grounded and it keeps the arguments that we run grounded. And I love talking to people who are actually making change, but who deal with the theoretical arguments that we're talking about. Like, you know about Afro-pessimism, you understand it. You probably read
I actually
Wilderson,
really
right?
like Afro-pessimism. It's such an interesting topic to me because I have a friend who are Afro-pessimists and I love talking to them about it. I was like, this is such an interesting like view. I can't dig that deep because that feels like a real deep thing that y'all are in right now, but I do like hearing about it. I just feel like it takes a lot of energy.
But it's funny because that is exactly what Wilderson himself talks about in his latest books. He says he speaks a lot to activists who are doing what they do. He says it's like my theory can't help you do what you do, but people like to hear what I do and hear what I say. So hopefully it might give them some guide. And I always thought that there was a link between abolitionists, Afro-pessimism, but in a practical way of like the way that you articulated it is like it. Like that's why I would love for you to talk to my students and have a conversation, have a series of conversations.
I think that's a great analogy, actually. Now that you brought that up, I was like, that's actually a pretty good analogy.
Because
what'd you say, Zaid?
I'm trying to see this dude here. You know, he got the gift of gab. He's a great teacher and all this, but I'm trying to corner his behind to put together a debate to close out the centennial Malcolm. You see him blushing, right?
Mm-hmm. He kind of fly.
Close out the centennial of Malcolm X, right? With a debate.
I've been watching these 100 days to the centennial.
You would be a great judge. You understand?
Video on Black Liberation Media. There's this like series that's happening every Monday that Dr. Jerry Ball is doing about like the 100 years of Malcolm and like looking at different topics and different like specific analogies from this book that this guy wrote about him. It's really, really good. It's one of my favorite things to watch on Monday. So if y'all are really interested into the like Malcolm X Centennial thing, I will go watch that.
Baby, I run the Malcolm X Commemoration Committee in New York City, and Facebook just took our global young radical Facebook page down.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
They say y'all gotta go.
They're corny like that, and we've got stuff going on all year, and that's the context that I'm raising. I just sent out a press release that sums
Yeah,
up.
Miss Johnson got up and walked right away like it wasn't nothing. I want to be like that. You know, I love how when people get older, they just don't care. I
I'm
love
sorry,
that.
Miss Amber.
No, I
I'm
like that. I said, you
sorry.
know, she said, turn off a camera. Forget that. Y'all know I'm cute. She just
I'm
walked away.
sorry.
I said, that's exactly
I'm
what I want.
sorry. Not as cute as you, sweetie. Thank you. And listen, I had to walk because I didn't want to lose anything you were saying. Everything you're saying is just on. You have us on fire now, so we're just excited.
But I
And
actually do have
and
to
if we
go
go back
to the
to
organizing meeting,
before you
y'all.
leave,
Okay.
if you go back early in the comments, somebody said, "Can I cuss? I love her." Somebody just fell in love when you was
Yes,
asking, "Can I
yes.
cuss?"
Mariah
Yeah,
Matthews
because
said
I
that.
was
Yeah.
already
Can I
cussing.
cuss like her?
I just try to
I
make
was
sure
already
because
cussing.
I've been doing like a few interviews here and there, and they're like live broadcasts, and I know you can't cuss. I always make
In
sure
certain
I
spaces,
ask
that's right.
because
Yeah,
I don't want nobody to get no fines.
yeah. In certain
Fair
spaces.
enough.
Remember the big case with Janet Jackson back in the day? Yes, you can get what was that? Who fined them? FCC
It
fine?
was a lot.
Well, we definitely we know you have to go to an organizing meeting, but we definitely want to have you back here on a more regular basis. If
Yeah.
possible, we would love to have you back here once a month, right? Just to have a conversation, just to talk, right? It don't have nothing have to be breaking off, nothing has to be jumping off, but just talking about like your mind and what you are working on and how. No, I mean, because it's special, right? Like it's nice, it's beautiful, right? Like what you are working on and what you do I think is inspirational because like you get stuff done, but yet
I'm
you are
trying.
clear eyed. You are clear eyed, right?
I'm very
Like you
much
are
focused.
clear eyed
Absolutely, all
on
illusions
what
fair to
white
show.
supremacy is and what it is not, and you are clear eyed on what won't work, right? Like no one thinks that you are like just trying to sell out the people for a position. No one thinks that you are just naive and think that there are going to be elections in 2 years because that's the way it's been, right? No one is accusing you of that, yet you are still very focused. You are an abolitionist. You are a self-described abolitionist who is also getting things done.
Apologetic.
That is a talent. That's special. Like, and
I appreciate it.
so
I don't know why people think I'm too dangerous to take me out because it's a great talent, but I'm not that effective, y'all. So don't get upset.
I'm just saying, would love to have a conversation with you
No, I'm
every
down.
month.
I can
You'll be
definitely do once a
surprised. You'll
month.
be surprised how effective you are. You know.
Oh, you
Oh
know
yeah.
how effective you are. So that you
We're
already
talking
know.
about us.
You
We're
already
doing
know.
something right.
Okay, but they're gonna yell at me because I'm finna be late, so I gotta go.
Okay, well,
Go
we
ahead.
All
don't.
right.
Ask
Thank
her the
you.
ritual
All right.
question
Thank
real
you so
quick.
much.
Ask her the
Zai,
Who are
he
you
ritual.
has
listening
my
to now?
phone
Oh
number. He
yeah.
can ask me to come on. He just don't be using it.
All right, we're gonna do that.
For who are you listening to in hip hop right now?
Right now,
Right now, or inspires you?
I'm listening to Nas, his song Nobody. It's really good. I'm listening to
Nas,
Doechii.
nobody.
I'm listening to Mana Leo and a little bit of Megan Thee Stallion.
All right. Cool. All right. Thank you. All right.
You're welcome.
Thank
Peace,
you.
y'all.
Beautiful.
And
Always honored to have you on.
listen, I apologize that Democracy Now! Only gave you 5 damn minutes. That was terrible.
It's fine. I didn't want to
That
talk
was
for that
fucking
long.
wild. Bad as hell. I want to kick the
Well,
damn
send
TV.
us a clip so we can replay
Oh, yeah,
it
some
forever and
Democracy
ever,
Now!
ever.
It's there. 5
But
minutes.
but we're but
Seconds.
we're respecting your time. We know you got to go.
Yeah,
We don't
I
want to get
appreciate
you in
it.
trouble. All right.
You good. Peace, y'all.
We'll talk to
Oh,
you
we
soon.
got
We'll
trouble.
talk to you at least next month. So we're
Yes.
good. All right.
Right on, Amber.
Zaid, do
All
you
right.
have the
Cool.
clip from Democracy Now?
Now just get it. It's just go to Democracy Now! Amber Sherman, it'll come up. Or Tyre Nichols, it'll
No, I'm
come up.
just saying so we can put it on our page and condom.
Well, you know, it was so lame. I don't know if I even want to put it up. That's my point.
Fair enough. So what Insha Rahman talked about was wild.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Like
what you didn't get a chance to talk about is
that was wild. It was one of the more wild things that I've heard in this
we
whole
hear
thing
about that,
about.
right?
No,
We
and
hear
just to
about
break it down for people
place.
who have not heard, what she said, she works for the Vera Institute. It's a old human rights nonprofit organization. There are many of them. It's a 501c3 organization. She got a call from Doge that was like, if you don't get put in one of our Doge government people into your organization, we are going to take away all your funding. And they were like, cool, you already took away our funding. That's federal, so kick rocks. They were like, oh, oops, bye. But in that conversation, they were like, we want to do to you what basically did for the Institute for Peace, um, where because they got so much federal funding, they were able to go in, lock the members of the organization out of their own building, and literally hijack their organization, replace them with some 25-year-old that would destroy their organization, fired everybody in the organization, caught it up in court. But they're doing that to simply like intimidate the civil sector. So the thing that's dangerous that is, and it's the same thing we saw tonight with the attack on the mayor, right? What they are trying to do is use bullying and intimidation to destroy civil society, that would go against what they want, their vision of the world. If you're going against their vision of immigration, and their vision of the world is a world where they ruled unquestioned, right? Because we're not talking about, I don't believe we're talking about anything that is a coherent form of governing other than unless you agree with Christian white nationalism, which is the only real philosophy that I think that is going on right now, right? It is a certain form of Christian white nationalism and that is most coherent. The second level of philosophy is just helping out like incredible, like the richest 1% of the world, right? And so if it's one of those categories, if it seems like you're going against that, then they will use bullying and intimidation. They will try to destroy avenues of dissent. One of the things that makes democracy all the time is the strong, robust, rich civil society, whether they be church, Boy Scouts, civic organizations, 501c3s, where people organize around principle and they push those principles. You just start destroying that, you start destroying the ability of people to resist you, right? Like, so the arrest of the mayor, that was clearly an attack on the public. I think that the massive demonstration was good today. I think that people being out there was good today, and they'll see that, and I think that they will escalate. I don't think they'll stop. But I think that pushback that happened today, and the pushback that has to always happen when they attack an entire community, as was attacked today, that needs to happen and happen consistently. And I think for all the people in civic organizations, and I speak for organizations that I'm a part of, those of you who are scared of getting under someone's radar and just being very careful, because if you're careful enough, then they won't attack you. I think that's unrealistic thinking. It's naive and stupid because they're going to attack you anyway.
That's right.
If you have core beliefs, then you're a threat. The mayor followed the law. The mayor literally went to present legal documents. When they asked him, hey, you need to go back outside, he did. They arrested him on public grounds. They arrested him on city property, right? So they arrested the mayor of Newark on city property in front of congresswomen who they attacked. They assaulted two congresswomen. But like the news reports, the stuff that we were getting back is that there were two sitting congresswomen who were assaulted by ICE.
That's right.
They
And
put
Menendez
their
as well.
hands.
It was three persons. Menendez as well.
What did they put their hands on him as well?
Yep.
Yes, yep.
And he spoke out.
So
to the left of his father, he spoke out.
So Menendez, Congressman Menendez, Congressman MacGyver, and Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman.
Right.
They were all, according to what we're hearing, assaulted by ICE as they arrested the elected mayor of the city of Newark.
And in fact, my worry was that they would all be arrested. And I was particularly worried about Congresswoman Bonnie Coleman Watson because of her age, right?
Right.
Physically, she's in her 70s now.
Right.
Totally fearless, very principled. Only one that really represents the left in the congressional delegation here in New Jersey in a strong way, very principled. But she's an elder.
Right.
5 feet tall, 100 pounds, soaking wet. She's an elder. Don't put your hands on no black woman like that.
Right.
So we were lucky it didn't go that far. But
now, were you there when it happened? Zaid, you were there when it actually happened?
No, I wasn't there when that happened. I was there at the beginning of the protest. And actually, the protest. And listen, I got there. Let me rewind. I got there. It was going on 6 o'clock. The people started coming to 620 Freeland Heisen Avenue where Ravs was brought there. As soon as the word got out. Now, apparently, it's not clear what time of day that the interaction took place, but it was early in the day, right? People started assembling at 6:20 as soon as it was clear that he was going to be brought to 6:20, right? When I got there, there was already a full crowd. And then as I got there and was, trying to pull Charles Boyer and Lawrence Ham and Ami Torres and folks like that into the circle so they could be heard on the mic, I had to turn around and keep together Menendez, McIver, Coleman Watson, Shavonda Sumter showed up to pull her in. Linda Carter from Plainfield showed up, had to pull all them together, Brittany Timberlake, had to pull all, trying to keep all them together, and then once I had that, and I was surprised to see her, and of course I had to take charge of my post right away. I had to grab and cover down on Mama Mina, right?
Right.
His mother showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I had to push her through that crowd. So she
First Lady Baraka too, yeah.
She was already there. Linda fell back and was taken care of in her own way. But Mayor's mother's 82.
Right.
Ain't nothing gonna happen with her on my watch. So
Right.
we had to take care of that. And then I'm looking at the clock. Ed was already there. That's what I probably would have wound up staying, and we would have to apologize to everybody on the day show tonight if Ed wasn't there. But because Ed was there,
well, what we were planning on doing was, if it doesn't matter who was in the field, there were going to be people back here to be able to do the interviews, so that we were just going to have live people there. We planned on doing. We figured that many of the people who were going to be on here, and it happened. One of our first guests, who was on the show, was also already out there because a lot of the people in the social service organizations that were working with the mayor understand the actual importance of this. So that we knew that they were out there. We knew Ed was going to be out there. And so I was going to be doing the interviews here. We figured you would be out there. I thought you were still going to be out there, actually. And we're just going to quarterback it from here. Everybody got a cell phone. That means we have command and control. We can have interviews and people coming from all over. It's the strength of the platform.
Yeah, right on to that. It was a good demonstration of solidarity. It was a broad representation of who we are. And it was the way people should have responded to that particular situation.
Yes,
Right?
and I think that it has to be even more concerted, because I think that everybody has to understand right now that okay, so I was thinking that when we went from Reconstruction to close to the next 100 years of Jim Crow and segregation. And the only way to get people to go from when there are Black elected officials and Black businesses and Black ownership of land and Black voting to having to literally flee the South and flee up into North and gain in Northern migration is through just intense levels of violence.
Absolutely.
Terroristic, horrific violence and lynching, the Klan, just violence. I am convinced that that's what this administration is going to do. I think that we just need to act. We know that they're attempting to resegregate. We know that there are strong influences within the administration that are white supremacists, that do believe in replacement theory, and they believe that since the 60s, since we changed immigration, since we have given more rights and access to Black people for education and Latinos for education, that there are more people who like just the demographics of the United States has fundamentally shifted and changed. So by 40-47, it might be majority non-white. We know that they were freaked out by the 2012 election when the majority of white people voted one way and lost. Like the overall majority, like close to 60, like 58-59% of white people voted a particular way. And Barack Obama still won in spite of that, because there were so many Blacks, Latinos, and others who voted in high enough numbers for him in all of the states for him to win. We know that those are the things that concern them. So I do believe that we have to be like organizing and ready and have an understanding that we all of these civic organizations have to stand together right now. They have to, right? And they have to stand together strongly. There have to be strong shows of solidarity together, with an understanding that if we don't show these high levels of solidarity, it will be followed by violence in terms of people picking off individual organizations and individual groups, right? Like today, all of these organizations that believe and have worked with the mayor over the years came out, and they came out in numbers, right? Like, and all of these, and I think that has to be, we have to be working for that to be our everyday existence. Our level of solidarity on the issues that we are working on the things that we do, on the lives that we lead, have to do that, and they have to do that on at levels. I think this was a perfect show. Having Amber on earlier, who is a self-described abolitionist, someone who works practically within Amber Sherman, right? Like a member of Black Lives Matter Memphis, on the practical ways that she works with local government in order to affect change within her community and all of the coalitions that have to be built. That means that she has to engage in the electoral process, or at least be allied enough with people who engage in the electoral process. She has to talk to people who helped her most. She said were not just the legislative, not just the council people, but their staff members. And she talked about how many people who have her ideas are part of Young Democrats who are there. They just needed a space to be organized, right? So that they can organize and affect change. She calls herself an organizer, not an activist, and as someone who is a former debater, she understands the importance of language in that. I think that all of those lessons are coming together for this, as in the need not just to say the word organize, but to recognize the organizations that we have and understand that we have to make space and time to come together on a consistent basis, not just when there is a crisis. We have to affect these changes on a local level so that we'll be stronger overall, because we know these things are happening. The mayor probably didn't expect to get arrested today. The Congress people that represent us probably didn't expect to be assaulted today. But we understand that these types of crises can happen any day to any of us. And unless we are consistently involved in organizing, then we're all going to be vulnerable. I think that if there is anything that these years are teaching us, these really months so far, but should have been years that are teaching us, is that the organization and organizing we do has to be communicated. And it has to be communicated with others who have like minds. It has to be communicated with people within our communities so that they know the importance of going out to vote and why. That we have to be involved in almost constant communication and organization in our local communities for the values that are important to us. Because if we don't, then we will be picked off and isolated as individuals. We will not know successful things that work in other communities. And I think it becomes the way we survive, because I think that this is not like just an anti-Trump thing, right? Like, because it goes beyond them. It's a movement. This thing that we're facing, why they thought that they could arrest the mayor and try to keep him kidnapped over the weekend. And I don't even want to call it an arrest. I'd rather call it a kidnapping, because that really does seem like what it more accurately is, which is why a judge who had to view it was like, he has to be let go immediately. What are you talking about? Because it's so beyond what we would think is a rule of law. It's not a rule of law. It was a kidnapping. And the fact that you have the state attorney general, not state attorney, the federal district attorney for the federal attorney wanting to get on Fox News to try to be like, look what I did. I kidnapped a mayor.
As if that's
And
the
get
only news
cheered.
that exists, by the way, too. That's the only news that exists, and that's the only news that matters to them.
Right. Right. So they have, because it's a movement. It is a movement with millions of people in it. There was an article I read in the Atlantic that from 2022 that talked about the radicalized right that were willing to do armed damage for the sake of not disappearing, who actually believed in replacement theory, that Blacks and Latinos had more rights. Like, that is a population that exists. That is a population that believes sincerely that this is that it is a thing. I don't think that, I mean, and that's not going away. That's only going to get stronger over time, and that only is going to have to be resisted and pushed back on in an organized way. I think in the last election, we've had different activists on talking about why different communities voted the way they did, why a lot more Black people didn't come out, right, or why Latinos switched the way they did. A lot of the activists who are on our show weren't really communicating well, and many of them said this on our show. So they weren't communicating as well with the voting population of their communities. So they would get things done on environmental justice. And they were working real hard and making progress on environmental justice within our communities, getting money and funding to work on programs that dealt with environmental justice within our communities. But the things they were doing, the people who were voting in those communities didn't know. They didn't really see or understand or get the importance of the politics, the voting, the things that they had to do within our communities, and so forth, and therefore they didn't show up in the same ways. You had many people who were dealing with immigrant rights, but the largest population supporting Trump in new ways was the immigrant population, right? The first generation citizens supported Trump in large numbers. And they were like, because they had no understanding of white supremacy and the way it worked, and that they would not be included, and that their vote for
They
Trump was
saw
actually failing
themselves
out.
as beneficiaries of white supremacy mistakenly.
Right, because they didn't understand that white supremacy would not include them, too much African in them, right? Like, what they deny about themselves is just not what was too much there. But that's like education that has to go on within the community. If you are pushing and organizing Latinos, if you are organizing on immigrant rights, then you have to be communicating with that electoral base, and you have to be educating them on white supremacy. And I remember when we had some people on, some activists who I like a lot, they couldn't have a conversation about white supremacy. Like, I pressed them on it, and they weren't able to articulate what they needed to do or having that conversation on what white supremacy was and how that affected their ability to organize and their ability to be heard even in their own communities. And I think that if we don't keep having a lot of these conversations, then I think that then I think that we'll get what we had before, right? We'll have people who are working really, really hard but get shanked because we don't have the connection to the voting population that connects to the policies that actually benefit them. Right, Donna, what are your takeaways from today? I hear and that also my sister chiming in. She's like, call it what it is, a kidnapping. Yep.
Right. Well,
Because that
Donna doesn't get a chance really to talk because she hasn't been on as much lately. Let Donna go ahead for a minute.
Yes.
No, but no, I'm gonna let you speak. Well, what I think is that people need to understand that, like how they're on Fox News, they're publishing that Mayor Baraka disrespectfully, and he went to the, how they're telling the story, and we need to make sure that even in our space and in spaces like ours, we need to help people understand how things started and how they progress. Because if we're only here, and Fox has this platform where they're constantly repeating, and then their supporters repeat what they say without doing any fact finding. And I think it's important as you was that did you say Jonathan, or was I reading Mayor Fuller? Representative Menendez was saying how Mayor Baraka, no, you said it, Jonathan, how he went to bring out some papers and and that's when they arrested him. And he is
No,
the mayor.
they arrested him on city property. They arrested
Right,
him
that's what I was.
on public property. They did not arrest him when he went
He was
to
inside.
ICE. When he went over there, they were like, "No, you can't be here," and he left. Right? It was like, "Okay, here's what we need for the city. We need to be able to inspect. Here, you're trespassing. All right, well, I'm going to go to the other side. We're waiting for you to come out." They came out because they were ignoring the Congress people who should have that right to come out and inspect. So we're like, so if you are literally saying ICE can arrest a mayor, assault 3 Congress people, they can arrest a mayor for doing his job
Next week.
and assault 3 Congress people, like they are wild. They are unchecked.
Or for him doing it, just this permit process has been going on for at least 2 months now about the permits that they needed
Right.
to, and so the mayor doing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, and let's be real, right? Like the reason why the inspections needed to happen is because you have human beings in there who have rights. And when you're ICE, there is a history of abuse. There is a history of keeping people in inhumane conditions. There's reports of people having not enough to eat, not enough water, overcrowded conditions, right? So when you have not been inspected, when the facilities you're in have not been inspected, and we know dealing with a population of undocumented people who are incarcerated there who normally do not have rights, that there has to be some oversight. Why are they keeping everyone out and away? Are they trying to do the same thing they're doing in El Salvador when we saw those horrific pictures that the federal government put out, by the way? And we saw those pictures that reminded some people of the way the bodies were put together, that sadistic thing that looked like Middle Passage. And we know that there's sexual abuse in prisons. We know that there's sexual abuse in private prisons, especially. We know that is even more true when you're dealing with when you're dealing with undocumented population that does not have rights, that might not have access to lawyers or attorneys or any of the due process rights that normally we would have, that citizens have. So when you're looking at why you need to inspect, it becomes even more important in situations like that. So the mayor is doing his job, not just locally, he's doing his job for human rights.
Period. Or this is a repeat of what we've seen before when the camps when the holding spaces were at the border, and when they finally got in and you're seeing people sitting, they hadn't been allowed to go to the bathroom. They had, just how things have. This is not the first time this has happened. Right. This is a repeat and an escalation.
We know that private prisons often hire fewer prison guards. That sometimes that they literally are given instructions that are don't break up a fight. So there are higher rates of death. We know that they don't have the same access to medical care. We don't even know if they're using the facilities in the way that they were supposed to be used because there's no oversight. So we just need to trust them. But because they are, quote, prisoners, we think that they don't have any rights. that they're treated like animals. So what? But that's not what our mayor is doing. That's what he's pushing against. That's why all of the organizations that are dealing with human rights, that deal with like human rights, prisoner rights, immigrant rights, right? Like all of those organizations are like, hey, we need to inspect this. Hey, that's why oversight exists. The Congress people are like, hey, we're Congress people. This is federal money. We should be able to literally inspect where federal money is being used and how it's going. They're like, or not? You're gonna arrest people?
And one of the things that this administration does not like is oversight. They don't like
Right.
oversight.
Principal Caffelli writes, in a building that has been abandoned for years and no telling what sort of vermin live in that space. Right? On a very basic level. Are you doing basic exterminations? Did you get rid of the rodents who were there because you had a vacant building by an airport? Those are just some basic things to ask, to see. Yes.
Surrounded
Absolutely.
by water and all, there's water. The area is in the middle of a field. It is a highway, but it's surrounded by water ways and things like that as well.
Yeah, this
And
administration has done some dangerous escalation. The federal administration, the license that the Trump administration did. This is not a local story. This is a national one. This has national implications. It has constitutional implications because you are literally having overreach that is so expansive that you can arrest a sitting mayor without cause, try to detain him for a whole weekend, whatever, right? Like, what's to stop them from putting someone on a plane, from claiming they're like terrorists, right? Like, what's to stop him? And if they could do it to a mayor, what about an American citizen who happens to be protesting? Why not arrest them and get them just lost in a system where you can't
That's what's
have
up.
oversight?
That's what they're laying the groundwork for.
Well, it has happened on that plane in El Salvador. There was a doctor on that plane. One of the doctors, a doctor who was working on a study, who ended up on the plane that went to El Salvador. It's ridiculous. Or how the person from Maryland who was a resident who gets removed and then they can't find him, and then it's not the amendment, and then when they're deemed that he shouldn't have been deported, then now it's not the administration's responsibility to make sure he gets back home. It's just
Right.
like,
Right. And imagine when that starts happening to US citizens, right? So if you're a protesting US citizen, then that means you just don't even have any rights because you can be made to disappear because they think you're dangerous because God forbid you might have a tattoo or you're wearing a Bulls jersey, right? Or they might be like, yo, there's this dangerous gang that has the colors of blue and orange, like all the New York Knicks fans, like you you done,
or going to a
right?
game,
You
a
just
local game.
right,
And
right,
too
trying
much
to see
person,
game 3,
orange is gonna be dangerous.
or the
right,
person who was actually detained and they had photoshopped on his hands MS-13.
right. That was right. That's the person who was a legalized citizen, and they took him up just because. Oops, just said oops. They said oops, my bad. But once you're there for life. They literally have a concentration camp that they can send people to in a different country that they have no jurisdiction on, so they don't have to worry about rights violations. I know we're coming up on 6 minutes left, and we're not going to go over time today. So Donna, I'm giving you the time you need. What do you want to say? Because y'all don't start talking at 8:59.
At 8:59 and a half,
Yeah,
at 8:59 and 35 seconds. No, I just would first of all send our representatives here yesterday saying that his actions undermine the right. They're actually broken. Now look at this. Now you have somebody from down in Atlantic County who representative, well, we haven't proof with this person that says, but imagine if after we proof it is true, that they're repeating something that he broke in, as you just said, and was,
Right.
you know, and so we have to make sure that we're constantly correcting these stories and putting the truth out. But I would like to take the time to wish all the moms happy Mother's Day. No, my mom left me in 2020, and this is a year that Mother's Day falls close to her birthday. Her birthday is tomorrow, May 10th, and then Sunday we'll be celebrating all of the beautiful moms.
May 10th
John, your
is the
mom's one about
anniversary. Listen to this, Donna. I didn't know that. May 10th is the anniversary of the wedding of Louise Langdon Norton to Earl Little, the parents of Malcolm X, in 1919.
I didn't hear it all. You're breaking up, but May 10th is what?
May 10th is the anniversary of the marriage of Earl Little to Louise Langdon Norton, the father and mother of Malcolm X, in 1919.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. And is that but as I was saying, to your mom, Jonathan, I love telling you. I remember she was on the show and
Yes.
and your dad, I made no commitment. You see me walking across the street, so that always sticks in my mind, and how she made her demands known, and just all the beautiful women in our community. But today we're gonna shine on First Lady Linda Joma. I think about, you know, how this weekend could have ended differently with, you
Right.
know, a mother and a wife seeing this happen too. Because at the end of the day, he's Mayor Baraka, but it's her husband, her son, to see that happen, and that's not something that we want to see, because it hasn't always turned out well in situations like this. So I
That
want to wish all
they
the moms a happy
no, you're
Mother's Day. Go
saying.
ahead.
I'm sorry. Finish. My
No, that's
apologies.
what I was just saying. Wish, you know, just saying that I'll wait to 8:58 and a half. Go ahead.
That's okay.
I'll
No,
wait
no,
to
right now.
8:58.
You're good.
No, just a happy Mother's Day, and then a special shout out to my mom on her birthday tomorrow.
And
Although she's not here, she's
that's a
always
great
listening.
Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to my mom. Happy Mother's Day to my mother-in-law. Happy Mother's Day to my sister-in-law. Happy Mother's Day to all these mothers. Happy Mother's Day to the mayor's mom and the mayor's wife, right? Because when we were dealing in these struggles, right? Like it's the mamas, it's the mothers, right? That deal in ways that,
In
you know,
captivity.
because she had to deal with her husband being like Mama Baraka.
Husband, her son.
Amina
Yes.
Baraka had to deal with her husband being arrested and beaten during the uprisings and afterwards, right? Like the levels of intimidation in terms of standing up and what happened, right? Like, and now has to deal with her son being taken, because all these situations are very dangerous. These are people who are armed. These are people who are hyped. They felt like entitled to be able to assault 3 sitting Congress people. They assaulted 3 sitting Congress people. And you have people in Atlantic County thinking that's okay.
They
You
should
have people
they
who
should
are like
charge me
elected officials.
right
Like,
away.
and thank you, Mariah, for thank you much, Mariah Matthews, for providing us that. And you have Fox News thinking it's okay. You have the federal authority, the federal the federal right district attorney in New Jersey. That attorney thinking that she can have a great photo op on Fox News and not be questioned when these things are so intensely dangerous. So it's
And just, and I guess
8:59. We're giving it to you, Donna.
yeah, and I was just saying, Attorney General, one point about Trump, and since day one that she has been in that position, Mayor Baraka has cordially invited her to come see what we have done in the city,
He
how
sure
we're
did.
Right.
succeeding,
He reached
how
across the
we
aisle.
have, and she, how she responds in a way that's just very punitive. Instead of her coming to sit down, take a walk around the city, sit down, understand what has been done historically, where are we going as we move forward, as we even come through some challenging times. This is how you choose to respond.
Cool. Well, it is 9 o'clock. And
And of
want
course,
to
our
thank
executive
everybody.
producer, I'm sorry, hold on,
Right.
executive producer, First Lady Kim, happy Mother's Day.
Yes. Kim, happy Mother's Day as well. And Ed, thank you for being on site. And Zayed, thank you for being on site. Thank you to all of the guests that we've had. Special shout out to Lisa Durden for organizing the first part of our show for the State of the People Power Tour that is going to be Tuesday at Symphony Hall. Please sign up. The sign up is free. Everything's free, but the sign up is on our site and it's on our in the comments section as well. So sign up for that. Thank you also to Ensha Raman of the Vera Institute. That was a scary conversation as well. We appreciate you. Thank you to Amber Sherman of Black Lives Matter Memphis for enlightening us again on our show. We appreciate you again a lot.
And who was with Lisa? Somebody
and
was Maya.
Lisa, and for all the people who are on the show. So thank you, and happy Mother's Day, and until next week.